the coating performance with high performance pigments. Mr. Surinder Gupta, General Manager, Marketing and Sales, Hi-By Color Private Limited. Mr. Surinder Gupta obtained his MSc Technical in Digestive Chemistries from ICT, formerly UCT, and pursued further PGDIM from Mumbai University. He is presently associated with Hi-By Color Private Limited, a German MNC, as GM Business Development and responsible for global marketing and sales functions. He has been with Hi-By Color for 16 plus years and has served across multiple functions, R&D, project, and production. He started his professional journey at Thai Ambika Chemical Dyestuffs Manufacturing Company in Thailand as a project and production manager, and later moved to Nigeria, where he was involved and responsible for new greenfield reactive dyes manufacturing plant. Surinder Gupta brings with him strong track record of business leadership and performance delivery in global colorant industry. He has widely traveled across the globe and having experience of setting colorant sales network in Japan, Korea, Brazil, and other countries. I have personally known Mr. Gupta for perhaps more than 15 years, and his vast experience in pigments is very much similar to the beautiful, colorful background that he, that probably gets our first attention. He's a very simple man who personifies colors and pigments and its application in paint industry. All the best, and over to you, Mr. Gupta.
Thank you, Jatinji. Okay, can you see the slide now?
Yes, sir, it's perfect, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Jatinji, for your kind words of introduction. Friends from Color Fraternity, very good afternoon. It's my pleasure to be here joining you all via webinar, and I would like to congratulate IPCA and its team members for organizing this event today under COVID-19 gloomy atmospheres and trying to rejuvenate everyone involved, and of course bringing different disciplines of coating sector on a single virtual platform to discuss and share knowledge for overall benefit and growth. Friends, as a typical black swan event, COVID-19 took the world by complete surprise, with many facing government-imposed operational restrictions, severe supply chain disruptions, and declining consumer demand. Now, as the world begins its slow pivot from COVID-19 crisis management to recovery, and the recovery and reopening of the economies, it's clear that lockdown has had a profound impact on how people live and behave. And it is going to impact us all. And as saying goes, change is the only universal and eternal truth. And we all need to ready to embrace it, and better if we are embrace it consciously. In my today's presentation, I will try briefly to touch upon few commercial and technology trends and developments in the area of pigments for coating sector, Hi-By smart offerings as a tools. Friends, my presentation is not a teaching, neither a philosophy, nor a sales speech, but a collection of few slides providing or refreshing our basic fundamentals and taking us to realize our business purpose or goals. So let's begin. Going back to the past to touch upon the roots and from where synthetic color chemistry originated. The science of color comes from the West with the great discoveries of color starting mainly from the Germany and UK in EU. And if you see, this is during the period of 1870 to 1950, that was the industrial setup, and then color industry originated and grown in the Europe. Then came the first migration. During this period of 1870 to 1950, world saw the two world war. And after the Second World War, with the new world order finding leadership in the USA, Japan emerging as a technological country, and that is where the first migration of the color chemistry or color synthetic production moved from the Europe to USA and Japan. Now we come to the second migration, which is most interesting and important from our perspective. The movement of the color synthesis from the US, Japan, Europe to India and China, and that started when both India and China opened up their economy. That is the starting of 1990 till date. Now, where are we moving? Where is this industry going? Where are we heading for? Which direction? We now see a new change in the colorant industry where M&A, merger and acquisitions are playing much bigger role. Just to give the few examples, like DIC recently acquiring the business of BSF pigment. Clariant has already announced to sell its pigment business. Few years back, Ferro bought Belgium-based Capale. US private equity firm HIG buying the Canada-based DCC. And we may see such further M&A in the colorant industry resulting in consolidation. Moving to the size of the colorant industry, that where do we belong? The colorant industry, if you see, these are comprising the pigments, dyes and dyes intermediates. The global colorant industry size is approximately at a US dollar 36 billion, which is at INR Indian rupees 265,000 crore. Moving to the Indian colorant industry, which is at a US dollar 6 billion, approximately Indian rupees 45,000 crore. And very interesting, it is growing at a very handsome double-digit 15.56% CAGR. And Indian market share in the global business is expected to grow further due to changing dynamics and the new opportunities which are arising due to various geopolitical factors. Moving to the colorants, how do we define the colorants? What are the classifications? If you see here, colorants basically can be defined in the two streams, pigments and dyes. The pigments, which are insoluble, applied as dispersed crystals, and both molecular and crystal structure determine the color, whereas the dyes are the soluble, applied from solution, and the monomolecular dispersed forms are responsible for the color formation. How do we define the pigments? What is the definition of the pigment and what is its purpose? Pigments are finely divided color or white insoluble particles, and when uniformly dispersed in the resin or medium, they impart color and opacity to the final film. So color and opacity are the two primary functions of pigments, which are coming from their optical properties, which are one is from color is coming from the absorption and the opacity is coming from the scattering properties of the pigments. So basically from the user perspective, we can define the pigments as achromatic, which are the white and black, chromatic, which are coming from the organic and inorganic, effect pigments, and functional pigments, which are the anti-corrosive. In today's presentation, we are going to touch upon a little bit on the organic, inorganic, and anti-corrosive pigments. The basic difference between the inorganic and organic colors. As you see here, inorganic pigments are the dull, whereas the organic pigments are the bright, vivid colors. Inorganic pigments are insolubles. Organic pigments are soluble, slightly soluble in the media. Inorganic pigments are having low color strengths, where organic pigments are providing very high tinctorial strength. Inorganic pigments are opaque. Organics are transparent. Inorganic pigments are having very high light, weather, and other fastness properties, whereas organic pigments are having low fastness properties. And these fastness properties are most important are due to the intermolecular bond or forces which are responsible for these properties. Inorganic pigments, where the molecule are joined via ionic bonds having higher dissociation energy, whereas Organic pigments molecules are having weaker van der Waals forces or hydrogen bonding. The source of inorganic pigments are minerals, whereas organic pigments are originated from petroleum source. Just to give you a brief on the classification of the organic pigments, or more from the user perspective, we can call them as a high performance pigments or classical pigments which are low to mid performance. From the chemistry perspective, we can call azo pigment, metal complex pigment, polycyclic pigment. Under the class of azo, we have got further monoazo and disazo, and thereafter various classes both in the classical and high performance. In the metal complex, we have workhorse of blue and green, that is the copper phthalocyanine. And as all you know, the India is a prominent player, mostly covering the 70 to 80% of global manufacturing is coming from India. Then we come to the polycyclic, which are very important pigment classes, and which mainly are the high performance anthraquinone, dioxygen, DPP, isolindone, perilene, quinacridone, etc. So these are the classes of the high organic pigment. Moving to the inorganic pigment, basically, if you go to the inorganic pigment, which consists of elemental, which are not on this slide. Elementals are the carbon black and the aluminum. And when we are talking of inorganic color pigments, the other classes are the oxides, which are iron oxide, titanium dioxide, zinc oxides. Then we have got lead chromate, molybdenate red. Then we have got bismuth vanadate, a very beautiful green shade, high performance inorganic pigments. We have got chrome oxides. In form of the silicate, we have got ultramarine blue. And one of the important class in the high performance inorganic pigment comes as a mixed metal oxide, which are the rutile and ferrites and etc. And we'll touch upon these further in my slides. Coming to the coating industry. What is the purpose? I think I was just listening to Sagarji a few minutes back, and he indicated about yesterday's last presentation from the Professor Hiten. It was very interesting. And if you all remember, he was very particular trying to ignite a very specific aspect in our business or in our life. And that aspect he was asking, what is the purpose? Why are we in this business? So again, what is the purpose of coating? In a simple word, we can put the task of coating is to provide decorative finishes, that is the color, and the surface protection, that is the enhance the life of the article and other special functions. So coating, it is not only beautifying the object, but also increasing its overall value and life. And this enhancement adds value far beyond the cost of buying or applying the paint or coating. Coming to Indian coating segment, which is approximately at a Indian INR close to 50,000 crore, growing at a double digit 12 to 15% CAGR. And friends, believe me, I think the coating industry future in India is very bright. Moving to the value chain. What are the value chain in the coating industry? When we are moving from the paint manufacturer to going to the paint applicator or at an application point, and then finally our consumer or user. And the aspects, the requirements at each stage are different. The paint manufacturer is looking for better dispersion, better rheology, foam control, low dusting during making of the paint at his workshop. When we go to the paint applicator, what is he looking? He is looking for again for a better rheology, better fill formation, faster curing, and certain surface modification. And when we go to the final end user, which are the paint user, what is he looking? He is looking for a vivid color, stable colors, appearance, adhesion, and all these aspects are interconnected, and we need to address all these points while designing our formulations. What are the current trends and the requirements in the coating industry? We have already saw in yesterday few presentations. Again, to repeat, the zero VOC, or low VOC, without the volatile organic compounds. The high solid pigments moving from the solvent borne to the water-borne, solvent free, ester in dispersibility, good and good dispersion stability, good flow rheology, high fastness properties, whether light fastness, weather fastness for properties, free flowing, low dusting, versatile binder free, high pigment loading, which are what we call right now the colorants, and of course the various pigment concentrates. So friends, this was my first part of the presentation, where we have gone through briefly on the pigment classification, types, chemical classes, few slides on the coating industry, what are the functions of the coating industry, value chain, and the requirements. Moving to the second part of my presentation, technology tools available with a pigment manufacturer. Friends, the pigment industry is today under greater pressure to deliver products that perform to higher standard, both in the performance and visually, all while meeting the cost and environment benefits. Today, color trends are being driven by various influences from culture to technology to environmental. The green movement is another area that is having huge impact and eco agenda, which are very visible at the world chemical sectors. So how organic pigment industry or pigment industry in general is responding to these new emerging requirements from the user industry, that is the coating industry. I would like you all to put your undivided attention to this part of the presentation, providing a sense of pigment development. So if you see here, coating industry, how the pigment is performing, a technical performance of a pigment is a function of a pigment chemistry and pigment physics. What is pigment chemistry? The pigment chemistry, which is at a molecular stage, a molecular properties, which is basically we can call it's a basic, it's a fundamental, or we can call in a human life, it's a birth of a pigment. It's a soul of the pigment having vast memory stored in it. Then we move to the pigment physics, which is basically a crystallography, solid state properties. That means what environment are we providing to the molecule to grow further in a crystal, in a proper pigment, that it is how it is going to function and working on the desired properties. Which are the desired properties? Which are color properties, providing the shade, providing the strength, color depth, chroma, etc., providing the various fastness properties, light, weather, chemical, solvent, and of course the final application properties, rheology, viscosity, dispersibility, and dispersion stability. So both pigment chemistry and pigment physics, both are equally responsible to provide above properties. What is happening right now in the pigment industry? The current trend is to improve application properties of the existing pigment in place of any new molecular research. So more focus and investment is in the development of the existing available chemistry or the molecule rather than any basic research. And if you all remember, the last pigment which was commercialized or introduced, a molecule which was pigment red 254 DPP somewhere in 1983 by SIBA. Now let me provide you a secret from the pigment industry in the form of 3 edges of a pigment development triangle. What can pigment producer influence? What are the tools in his hand when we make a pigment? The first left-hand side, if you see it, this is the chemistry. The chemistry which are having the chromophore, different chromophore and oxochrome which are here. And this chemistry is responsible for the basic hue, which is responsible for the cost, providing the certain polarity, fastness properties, hardness, etc. So this is the heart of the pigment. Moving to the second age of the crystal or triangle, that is the crystal. The crystal, which is responsible for providing the transparency or opacity, color strength, gloss, other properties. And this is what, how do we grow from the chemistry to the crystal, providing the different methods. And then finally, the third age, which is very important from the application perspective, that is the surface modification. Once the pigment or crystals are formed, how are we modifying the surface for the final intended application? And that is where the pigment is providing various dispersibility, flocculation, rheology, and other fundamentals. So basically, is the modifying the pigment surface so it can behave very friendly with the other component of the formulation, that is the resin, solvent, or additive. Just to take one example, that is the properties as a function of particle size. If you see this beautiful graph here, on the x-axis, which is the particle size, going from the left to the right, small to the larger particles. On the y-axis, you see the various pigment properties, which are from the lower to higher. The viscosity, as we increase the particle size, is decreasing. The tinctorial strength, as we go from the lower to higher side, is decreasing. The photochemical stability, which are responsible for the various kind of the fastness properties. As we grow the pigment from small to larger, the photochemical stability or the fastness properties are improving. The another aspect of the pigment, that is the opacity. It's very interesting to see here. With the increase in particle size, you see here the opacity increases, and then it reaches to its zenith, that is the highest opacity. And then if we have the further increase in the particle size, it turns to the reverses the process. And this is very important to understand. It is against the common belief that if we increase the particle size, the opacity will every time will increase. No, it reaches to its zenith and then it starts decreasing. Depicting the same in a very simple way: smaller particle size, larger particle size. Smaller particle size, which are having a high surface area, providing the high color strength, transparent, lower fastness, higher rheology, higher binder demand. Whereas the larger particle size having the lower surface area, low color strength, opaque pigments, higher fastness property, lower rheology, and lower binder demand. Just to provide you some pictorial glimpse, because all are we in the world of the social media, and we would like to the face. So here is the picture of the pigment. On the left side, what you see from the synthetic route, when the pigment is manufactured, which is the chemistry, it has got no pigmentary properties, but inside it has got a memory. It has got a lot of energy that it knows that I need to behave like a blue or a green or red. And that is where it comes. Then when we are communicating, this is the crude where the particle size are decreasing. Various methods are available in the pigment industry. And then finally a finished pigments, where the surface or pigments are stabilized in a very beautiful particle size, and this is ready to apply in the final system. So friends, this was my second part of the presentation, providing you little glimpse of the various tools available with the pigments. Moving to my third part, from the Heuberg side, what are the products available with us? Heuberg Group. We are in the pigment business from last 200 years, since 1806. Manufacturing various kind of the pigments, inorganic pigments, organic pigments, anti-corrosive pigments, various pigment preparations, 3 manufacturing sites globally, close to 63,000 metric ton of production. Our global footprints in United States, Europe, India, we manufacture anti-corrosive pigments and dispersants in our US facility. All our inorganic pigments and anti-corrosive pigments are coming from the Europe. India, we manufacture organic pigments. A brief history, which I will not go much in the details. Just to give a small points, 1984 we started in the US. India we started in 1993. And the most important part from the Indian organic perspective was acquisition of Avesia business in 2003, where the technology and the business transfer from the Avesia to Heuberg took place. And it was really a key turning point for Heuberg Group in terms of bringing to the high performance organic pigment range and positioning as a key supplier to high-end OEM application. This is our US facility, our European facility, our India 3 manufacturing plant. All 3 plants are located in Ankleshwar. And I'm very happy to inform you all about our new site. We have now a new plant coming up in Dahej, and new facility is under construction, bringing new product line, and we expect this to start by mid of next year. So this is our total product portfolio for the coating industry, starting from the organic pigment, monolite, monostral, inorganic, Hycoder, Vanador, which are manufactured in Europe, Germany plant, anti-corrosive and various hybrids, and for the various segments of the coating industry. Our high performance organic pigments, which are various chemistry we are dealing with: azo, isoindolene, benzimidazole, naphthols, DPP. Let me take one by one. Okay, so monolite yellow, these are the mid and low performance. We have got pigment yellow 74. We have got 2 different grades, which is the opaque and transparent version. You can see the structure of yellow 74 on the right side. These are the greenish shade yellow, both opaque and transparent. The yellow 74, friends, we need to be very careful when we are using in your formulations to avoid high temperature, polar solvents, and especially in the presence of glycols. They are tend to lose some strength, and here we bring one stable grade, stable transparent grade. We have got another product, pigment yellow 83, the opaque version in our range. Moving to the second, monolite yellow high performance, we have got isoindolene, pigment yellow 139, benzimidazolones, yellow 151 and yellow 154, and this is very interesting, and for me, I really like and love these benzimidazolones, which are very beautiful, clean, deep green shade or mid shade products, excellent light and weather fastness, good rheology. We just need to take care and about the alkali because they are little sensitive about the alkali. Moving to the quinacridone range, which we are bringing from our Indian plants. We have got 2 different grades, monolite grade 312201 and 04. Overall, very good fastness properties. Recently, we have now increased our capacity and we have introduced one very special grade for the universal tinter system. And in the similar class, we have got pigment violet 19, the gamma type. Moving to the another range of the high performance pigment, we have got DPP, pigment red 254 and red 264, both types, semi-transparent and opaque type, and then bluish shade red transparent pigments. Phthalocyanine blue and green. Heuberg is world leader on the blue and green, making our own crude. We bring full range of the blues, alpha blue, beta blue, stable beta blue, the green 7, which are the chlorinated green, and the brominated green 36. From this, I move to the inorganic pigment class. Inorganic color pigments, friends, are the most stable class of the pigments developed by the color industry. Our Hycoder pigment range belongs to this. Their unique fastness properties are directly related to high temperature processing, which is more than 800 degrees Celsius, which yields homogeneous complex inorganic color pigments. This we are manufacturing in our European facility and bringing in India for our customers. We have nickel titanate, which is pigment yellow 53, chrome titanate, brown 24, brown 29, cobalt blue, cobalt green, and of course the black. In the similar product line, we also have the pigment yellow 184, which is the bismuth vanadate, a unique, brilliant inorganic yellow green shade having very high fastness and opacity. And these are especially suitable for OEM and industrial applications. Moving to the another field, which are the customized colors and hybrid pigments. Why we brought this? Because since you have seen Heuberg has got knowledge on the organic, on the inorganics, and of course the applications side knowledge. So customized colors and hybrid pigments concept. This is the bringing the different characteristics of the different pigments together. That is extracting the good from the both or more pigments and designing new offerings for a very specific applications. Like bringing the color brightness from the organics with the opacity of the inorganics. Our product brand name here is the HycoFit concept, which is our brand names. And these are made by a combined co-finishing process, which includes mixed milling technology. That is the very intense mixing and grinding, and basically the interlocking of the different pigment crystals. Just to see a picture here on the left side, you see this Hycozine, which is our customized color, and the right says is a normal color blend. So Hycozine, which are the organic and inorganic pigment and extended for the most common rail sets, and Hycozine specials are mainly for the thick layer application, which are for the floor coatings. On the similar product line, we have got a HycoFit LR, which are the direct one-to-one replacement of lead chromate and molybdenate orange. The next product, very interesting, is the Ticos, which some of the few important customers in India are also using this product, which is the high performance titanium color pigments. Here, if you see here the nickel titanates, the brown 24, and the organic shell surrounding it. So that's the marrying or the merging of the two different pigments. So titanium Ticos stands for titanium color made by a specific co-finishing process, providing full color solution, high gloss, excellent processing characteristics, and also protecting the organic pigments. And we have got a different range in this, from the yellow, orange, and the reds, which are for the general industrial coatings, powder coatings, and can be used for most water and solvent binder system. Friends, with this, now I am moving from the color to another dimension of the pigment, functional pigment range from the Heuberg, and final part of my presentation. So friends, just hold on. Thanks for your patience. So corrosion, how do we define the corrosion? The degradation of a metal by chemical or electrochemical means resulting from exposure to weathering, moisture, chemicals, or other agents in the environment in which metal is placed. The worldwide, the corrosion destroy a ton of steel every second. And if you see this number here, the global cost of corrosion is estimated to US $2.8 trillion, which is equivalent to 3.5% of global GDP. And by using a right product, we can really extend the article life. So here, if you go a little bit on the back, on the history, the most popular anti-corrosive pigments, which are still in the some part of the world or in the developing countries, were chromates. But the chromates are highly carcinogenic, and Heuberg initiated the replacement of this carcinogenic chrome-based anti-corrosive and became world market leader in this field now. First came the standard zinc phosphate, which were free of chromate, but could not match the excellence performance of chromates. That changed when Heuberg brought or introduced the modified product lines such as orthophosphate, polyphosphate, other organic inhibitors. Today, due to paucity of the time, we cannot go through this vast subject, and I'm also not expert on this because this product line is coming from the Germany. We will just touch on its surface today. So our product line, zinc phosphate, modified orthophosphate, modified polyphosphate, organic corrosion inhibitors. So the first modified orthophosphate, the improvement comes with the increase of the conductivity. The standard zinc phosphate to modified orthophosphate, we have got a different product, ZPA, ZPO, ZMP, compatible with a wide range of resin system types, increased water soluble, resulting in a better supply of inhibitive ions, and improved pigment structure and particle size. So these are our product range in the orthophosphate. Moving to the high performance polyphosphate, that is the increase in the phosphate content. The polyphosphates are the products based on the acidic aluminum tripolyphosphate modified with the zinc, strontium or calcium. And these are the suitable for the replacement of chromates in high performance applications. Friends, or if anyone is really interested, we have got detailed guide formulations which are available with us, which are available on our website. And these are the various solvent-based and solvent-based or the water-based applications, solvent-based whether it is alkyd, long or high solid, epoxy, PU, silicone. So you can really look on the guide formulations. These are our modified polyphosphate. With this, friends, I raised my presentation. Thank you very much. Actually, this is really not an end and a beginning of a new vibrant chapter for us and all of you from the coating industry, from the IPCA, all the members who are present today or who are not present today. You are invited to join us on social media. You can visit our website to download our catalogs and which are providing very useful insight to the pigment world and knowledge. You are welcome to contact us further on any specific product line or any query connected with your applications, and we'll be very happy to work together with you to find a solution. Last but not the least, again going back to a pigment which is very close to my heart and everyone, take the pigment as a lively creature. The pigment is having very high energy inside. It has got memory. And if we treat pigment very well, believe me, in turn, the pigments are also going to treat us well. And to do this, we need to understand the pigments. And here we are anytime available to you, and we can together work on this path and explore more dimensions of the pigment and colorant field. Thank you very much, all of you, and God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was really a wonderful presentation. We are really honored and privileged to have you with us today. And I would really, it's a commendable presentation because the simplicity with which you have gone about your technical presentation has really, endorses not only the theme of the conference, like refreshing basics, but has also refreshed our basics. In fact, I really love the slide when you were showing your plant in, US and Europe. The greed and urge inside me was again, all alive. And I hope you don't mind, we visiting those two plants, which must be state-of-the-art plants, very soon once the opportunity arrives.
All of you are welcome.
Thank you so much, sir. A couple of quick questions for you. First one is that, sir, any economical and workable substitutes for chrome pigments which IPCA has developed? And with workable, I mean that we can get some shade and low impact, the same shade and low impact on cost.
To really answer this question, if you ask me, I think the late chromates and pigment chromates are one of the best development which color chemistry has done. But since these are carcinogenic, because and these are we cannot use anymore, all the replacements because they are the two fundamental. One is the color and second is the opacity. And the late chromate, if you see, they are having a very bright colors and also bringing the opacity. And this we are trying to do. This color is coming from the absorption and then opacity is coming from scattering. So what are all the solutions are coming is the mixing of the organic with the inorganics. And all this, the pigments or what we are trying to mix it or use it are costlier. But if one is ready and if the economics are allowing them to use it, so these solutions are available. Either one can go have their own mixture or the ready mixtures are available both for the lemon chrome, mid chrome or moly orange. But yes, just to answer you, this will be at a higher cost. But if I put it here, why are we doing this business? We are responsible for this humanity. We are responsible for everything. We are not here just to make $1 more or less. I think if the overall the business is turning, which we see very closely in the Europe or developed country, everyone start using, and then you come on the same platform. So why not to really try it? Yes.
Point well taken, sir. So the next question for you is, can you throw some light on dyes for water-based industrial coatings?
Dyes for
waterborne industrial coatings.
As my knowledge goes, the dyes which are used, I need to really go in this subject because I not seen, but dyes which are being used are basically the solvent dyes. Because if you are using the dyes for the industrial coatings, I think we need to see, because dyes are applied on a molecular form, are not having very good stability. And when we are trying, when we see the coating is a film formation. So I think, I don't know, this need to be I need to go back. And really, I do not have the right answer because the question is also not very clear for me from my subject. But if you can send out this question, definitely we can look and come back to the particular person on this. But the dyes which are used are basically the solvent dyes which are falling in between the pigment and dye stuff.
No, so we'll connect Mr. Mehta to you so that he can elaborate on his question. A very interesting next question, sir. What are your thoughts on emerging environmentally friendly inks? And this is an anonymous attendee. He writes, I recently read about ink being made from air pollution. It's basically made by condensing carbon-based gaseous effluents generated by air pollution due to incomplete combustion. Does Highback plan to enter such segments?
Okay, let me what I read, and let me answer the first part of this. There were certain papers were also published, because what is the organic pigment? I think what we saw, all the organic pigments are originated from the petroleum products, which are the carbon. And when we see this all what is moving on the air, so someone is collecting, going back to its root, making the atoms and bringing it back to the molecule. Okay, so that papers were very interesting, and this is what we are talking, the future development, not at a Highback level. We are really not doing any aspect on that particular field. I think if I understood very well, there was a second connected question was the eco ink.
Right, sir.
Correct. Okay. So there, I think this is very important about the ink segment, because when we are talking of the coatings, the paint we are putting on the walls or etc. But when we are talking of the ink, and when we are talking of the gravier packaging inks for the food packaging, I think we need to learn a lot from the developed country, how to protect it. And there what happens whenever a pigment is forming, you saw the few structures, they are the lower molecular weight structure are forming, and these are prone to migrate, and these are migrating from the film to the food, and the food from our body, and it is going to harm us a lot badly. So I think this is very important. And I recently saw, I think Indian ink industries are doing a lot of job on this, and they are coming together on this subject. And as a pigment manufacturer, we really make sure we check all our pigments for cert, which are basically known as a primary aromatic amines, PA content, and other impurities.
This is very correct, because I think the ink industry is really transforming, because they're moving to the NT-NK, that is a non-toluene, non-ketone based systems. So I'm sure that what you're saying is in the right direction. One last quick question, sir. How does the outdoor durability of tricolor compare with chrome pigments? TiO2 produces electrons on exposure to light. This can accelerate degradation.
Okay, this is known as a photocatalytic effect. When we are basically, when we take the organic pigment which are transparent, we mix with the TiO2. Like any organic pigment, if you see in the mass tone, it will have very good weather and light fastness. But as we go on mixing the TiO2, the photocatalytic effect comes and it start affecting the organic pigment. And that is where, if you saw one of our slide, which was our product, the Ticos, titanium color. There we are trying to remove the TiO2 with the nickel titanate. So this photocatalytic effect is avoided and bringing the similar color with the same opacity.
Thank you so much, sir. One last quick question from my side.
Sure.
What are the supply chain constraints which you have experienced, post-COVID? Because a lot of states having weekend lockdowns, manufacturing plants being closed or weekdays lockdown. So how you have managed this situation, and what has been the China impact in the last couple of months when it comes to the pigment industry?
Okay, this is really a very interesting question, because this is what we are talking of, the supply chain. And recently Indian government has announced the PLI, production linked incentive for the pharma industry. And Hoiberg, we are connected with the various forums, and in fact we were also trying to pitch there. Let me just take you, if you allow me 2-3 minutes, let me just take you back when I really came out from the UDCT, that was in the 90s. And before that, India was really very strong on the intermediates. And then came the China, and China started building up the huge plants. The difference between Indian plant and the Chinese plant, one is the size of the plants, the capacities. Second thing, because they have got the funds available at a much lower interest rate. India has got, we cannot afford to build. And of course, I think if you see yesterday, Professor Hiten's, what is our vision? What do we want to do? So currently on the supply chain side, yes, it is little getting affected. I think if you saw, in the last month, it was more on the emotional from the government stopping the container at a port, not releasing the containers, which is now opened up. But I don't know because how it shapes up in the future, because tomorrow Rafale has already come in the Indian Army. I don't know where it is going to head. But yes, having said this, Indian colorant industry is really dependent on Chinese intermediate manufacturing. And this has to shift to India, but there is no clear answer on this, because it's very difficult, because in India, if one would like to make the investment, like suppose if you tomorrow decide to make 100 crore investment, Ronzi, you will really struggle which place I need to go, where I get my water, where I get this. So all these factors are there. But I think government is working on this side, and we need to become independent, because it's not only for our own, because the world is looking towards India now as a chemical manufacturing hub, specialty chemical. And I think that if you are following the stock market, that is reflected in the stock market also. You can see the share prices of all the key specialty pigment chemical manufacturer. And of course, the colorants is falling in the same sector.
Thank you so much, sir. And I'm sure if I have to make 100 crore investment, I definitely will knock your doorstep also. I would like to hand over to Jatin ji now. Jatin ji, please.
Yeah, I'm online. Yeah. A beautiful presentation, and my compliment, sir. And my compliment goes out to Rohan also. Was very, very penetrating questions. I think there was a googly from Professor Malche, and I think you really played it well. And Mr. Mehta also had a very valid question. So thanks a lot for your time, for your efforts, and for beautifully taking us through the crash course on pigments. It's a pleasure to have you amongst us. And in our virtual avatar, we would like to present you a small token of our love and appreciation, a small memento, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jatin ji. It's really beautiful.
So nice of you. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Friends, now we will be going ahead with the next speaker, who has a unique distinction that he has embarked on a massive project on Independence Day to free industry of its paint technical problems. A big task, I must say, but at least he has taken the first step towards it. Dr. Gururaj Muharir of Raj Specialty Additives Private Limited. He'll be speaking on the topic surgery on common technical paint problems, process application on finished paint. With a patent wielded, Dr. Gururaj Mohare, in his capacity as the innovation-oriented technical director of RSA, the organization has a product range that is latest in technology, sustainable, impeccable in quality at fair price, keeping in focus the requirements of the consumers. His passion is focused towards their needs, desires, and pains. It helps in understanding client problems, their cause, and solving them in a very simplistic, effective manner, an immutable trait of his working capability. Adding an important facet about Dr. Gururaj as a human being, he's a very down to earth and approachable, always ready to add value. I remember personally Dr. Gururaj, I've met him so many times in our functions, and he comes across, he volunteers, he comes across, he meets you, he discusses things, and that has been his trademark. He has been in the industry for more than 20 years and has been busy meeting clients and attending, of course, his favorite IPCA functions. So I welcome Dr. Gururaj Mohare for his presentation on specialty additives.
Uh, Thank you, Jatinji. Thank you, Jatinji, for intro. The subject I have chosen to speak on is surgery on common technical pain problems. This subject is actually a very unending subject, and we can spend days on it talking, and we can do that without actually adding any value like our news channels. Well, jokes apart, but I'll not be doing that. Value addition is RSA's middle name. So I'll be now sharing my screen. So, yeah, uh, just a minute. Okay, so I'll be talking about uh, surgery on common technical pain problems. I'll be covering the subject in these following points. First, I'll be covering extender wetting related problems in both decorative and water-based industrial paints. After that, we'll be doing looking at the pH instability related problems across the systems. We'll also be covering on the importance of flow properties in regards to the finish of the paint, the anchoring of the paint, and wetting of the paint. Uh, we'll be taking special look at carbon black wetting problems and titanium dioxide wetting issues as well. And lastly, a very important thing we'll be covering is deformer selection and limitations. Well, before starting my sessions on each topic, I would like to say we'll be taking a few queries at the end, but that's due to time limitation. We might not be able to handle all of them. So I request all of you to share your queries by filling out this form and submitting. I'll personally attend to each and every one of them. So please take a snapshot of your screen now and be ready with your pen and paper. Coming to our first challenge, uh, which is covered under extender wetting related problems, industrial paints, and decorative water-based paints. Extender wetting related problems in industrial paint. What actually happens? What are the problems that are faced? Uh, there are many paints in which the extender dosage in your paints is on a higher side, say 45, 50%, 40%. So what happens is what is usually seen, especially in the solvent-free systems, if you have to add the fillers, you don't have the capability, or the fillers actually don't go in. It's not possible to put in the push in the fillers very easily. It's a tedious process, and it becomes very painful, and sometimes it's not very efficient also. जबरदस्ती आपने कभी घुसा भी दिया फिलर्स को अंदर, तो what is seen is you will obviously be seeing loss of flow and leveling properties, and this leads to bad aesthetics. The paint looks horrible, and on a performance side, the paint film formation after application is also not very complete, or it remains defective, and this causes the loss of the basic properties because of for which you are painting. The corrosion will be corrosion prevention will be affected. The film life will be less. The film will wear and tear early, and uh, if these problems happen, I don't think you'll get a repeat order for applying your paint in the industrial area. So the treatment that is suggested or is simply use a extender wetting agent. There are many extender wetting agents available. They can be selected on the basis of your resin system, whether it's solvent based or solvent free. The polarity and the pigments used also sometimes can affect the selection of the extender wetting agent. Uh, Please note there's a wide range of these additives available in the market. You'll have to be selective about it. The results, as we discussed in the problem, all the problems are taken care of. Your fillers can be introduced in the system very easily without compromising on the flow and leveling properties. The looks are good and the film formation is perfect. So the desired properties of corrosion protection, the abrasion resistance, and all the desired properties are actually maintained and the film life is as expected. Coming to the next topic, extender wetting related problems in decorative water-based paints. This is a very common problem and a very uh, major problem which the water-based people face, paint manufacturers face. What they see is when the bucket is opened, you see a layer of water at the top. All the solids have settled down and the water is there. This creates a very bad impression with the painter first and foremost before even he touches the paint, and then after he touches the paint he'll have many other observations like the paint when you take it in the hand, when he takes it in the hand and feels it, it will feel very rough and what do they say, rava like feeling, सूजी बोलते हैं हिंदी में नॉर्थ इंडिया में, तो वैसे रफ फीलिंग आ जाता है, the paint doesn't feel good, and when applied there are lots of brush marks. On drying, the look is not very clean. It has a dull look and a dirty tone, not a bright tone. All these problems do happen. The painter is not very happy. He has to actually put his hand in the bucket and force the water in. The water miscibility of that paint is not very easy. So all these problems happen simply because extenders are not wetted well. The extender dose in water-based paint, as you all know, is pretty high. Uh, in your regular sector, there are very few sectors where the extender dose is less, but in your water-based decorative segment, 50 plus is a common thing. So naturally, this is a big problem, and it can be very easily solved by using an extender wetting agent. We have a specially designed extender wetting agent for your water-based system, which will take care of all these problems. There will be absolutely no water separation. Your solids will be well dispersed. The paint feels very buttery. Don't eat it though. Okay. The finish will be smooth and there will be no brush marks. The look will be very clean, the tone very bright. And the painter is very happy because he doesn't have to put his hand in and dirty his hands, which will take effort to wash it off again. What he does is he simply stirs with a rod or a stick and water can get incorporated into your paint. So use of external wetting agent will change the way uh, your decorative water-based paints are seen. So coming to the next problem, pH instability. pH instability is a problem which is very pronounced nowadays because of the borderline formulations that we are making high optimization and of late there I am seeing this considerable awareness being generated about the pH instability and those related problems. So people are being aware. Earlier people had absolutely no idea what this about this whole concept or this whole problem. So I'm covering this, and this problem is actually seen in your water based as well as solvent based paints. So I'll be covering them both. Uh, so starting with water base, what are the problems that are associated with pH instability? The pH, mind you, doesn't change overnight. It takes a couple of months, weeks, or months, maybe 3 months, 5 months, 6 months, depends. We don't know. It's unpredictable. But pH can change, and when it changes, it does affect the paint function very well. Most of the additives, the thickeners, the wetting agents, the dispersing agents are pH dependent. So if your pH drops, they will stop working. And you will see complaints like the solids settle down, the shade strength is lost, the uniformity of the shade is not very good. You might see, what do they say? धब्बे धब्बे दिखने लग जाते हैं. So that's not good. Many preservatives, the biocides, the preservatives are also pH dependent for their functionality. So they might stop working. Even your binder, which is the emulsion basically, is again pH dependent for its stability. If that emulsion break happens, then even with the other problems that are mentioned here, you are set for a doom. There's nothing that can save you if these problems happen, and your reputation will be ruined. You need to order for a new name and new company buckets and start all over again. So these are pretty serious problems which can be very easily taken care of by a simple addition of a pH stabilizer. What pH stabilizer does is it takes care of the pH change. It remains inactive till required, and as the pH starts changing, it will start neutralizing and taking care of the pH. And if the pH is stable, your thickener, your wetting agent, dispersing agent, preservatives, binders, they all perform perfectly. So addition of simple pH stabilizer works like, what do they say in medical language? They say like a vaccinating your child. You never know when what will happen. So vaccinate your child. So vaccinate your paint with a pH stabilizer, and try and prevent serious issues later on, which cannot be cured. One thing I would like to point out or stress upon is addition of a pH stabilizer, especially in your water-based paint, has to be done at a hand stage after you have added your acrylic thickener or whatever thickener, activated it with liquor ammonia or ammonia-free activating agent. After that, whole process is done, then add a pH stabilizer. Otherwise, your pH stabilizer will can be used for activating your thickeners, and then they will not be there in the system to work for your stability over a period of time. Uh, Coming to the next, pH instability in your solvent-based paints. This basically your solvent-based paints, the resins, the CNSL, alkyd, the resin systems, your pigments, they all tend to have a pent-up acid value, which tends to get released over a period of time in your system, and thus the pH of your system changes towards acidic. That's a possibility, a very good possibility. And this process of release of acid gets accelerated, especially if you have added water in your system, which is a common thing, not wrong, I don't say. We are the pioneers in getting water into your system. But we are going off the topic. Basically, pH release, the acid release gets accelerated in presence of water. So the problems that I'm mentioning now get uh, accelerated or amplified in presence of water. What are the problems? Gassing is one of the main problems that happens when your pH drops. That's the observation. And how does it present? It basically presents as a leakage from joints, and sometimes in extreme circumstances, people have reported explosion of the cover. Dhakkan ud jata hai and all the paint splatters on your ceiling of the go down. So that sort of complaints have been seen. That's an extreme example, but yes, that's happened to people. Certain other subtle problems are also happening. That is, your shade strength is lost, the uniformity in the shade development is lost, there's a viscosity drop, and as I said, if you have added water, the stability of the water in your system is again questionable if the pH is not. This problem is very commonly seen in your CNSR-based paints, alkyd-based paints, and some people have reported me with your NC-based paints also, the gassing, the leakage complaint. Recently, I've got this complaint from someone. And again, this is what I meant when I said leakage from the joints. In this case, it has happened from the lid, but it can happen from these joints. Here or here, any joint, the leakage can happen. The clear varnish comes out because of the pressure. So mind you, gassing is not always a celebration. So what is the remedy? As earlier, it's very simple. A pH stabilizer will vaccinate your paint against all these problems. Uh, Fortunately, you don't have to, if you're making both water-based and solvent-based paint, you don't have to maintain two inventory. The same pH stabilizer works in both the systems. Uh, there are many pH stabilizers available in the market. I would like to make you aware that there are certain products which are pretty cost effective, but on studying them deep, I saw they might be containing uh, alkalis like caustic soda or caustic potash just to get the cost down. I will advise against using such products. Check out the product, its chemistry before going for it. I will advise don't be penny wise and pound foolish in this case because the after effects are going to be very uh, extreme. Coming to the next topic, importance of flow leveling property. I'll be covering them in three parts. First is relating to the finish. Second is relating to the anchoring, and then lastly to the wetting in solvent-based and decorative and industrial paints. Mainly, these are related more to the industrial paints. Solvent-based paints also yes, decorative also yes, but the industrial application, these problems become more significant. So flow and leveling property, what are the finish problems which are commonly seen? There are many. I've just, as an example, picked out a few. Fascia is wrinkle, orange peel, pinhole. These are the finish problems that are commonly seen. Uh, Mind you, these problems are happening or can happen because of negligence also. Your surface preparation is not good. If your contamination is there, if your formulation is not right, wrong solvent selection can also lead to this sort of problem. But if you take care of all these negligence, even after taking care of all these negligence, you might still get these problems relatively in a mild form, and they can be very well taken care of by your flow and leveling agent. I'll again stress, uh, flow and leveling agent is not a replacement to the alertness. You have to be alert and not be negligent about the other aspects. And then a flow leveling agent will take care of your finished problems. Uh, Flow and leveling agents in your finish problems, in a finish, the added advantage that it gives sometimes, especially in your epoxy floor coats and all, if there is a good flow, the application or the laying of the epoxy floor becomes very convenient and easy because it levels out easily on its own. So it's almost a self-leveling product. So that's as far as finish. Coming to the next, anchoring advantage. This again applies to your floor coats, wood coats. What happens actually is floor leveling agent also acts or gives properties of surface wetting. The substrate on which your paint is being applied also gets wetted well by your floor leveling agent to a certain extent, yes. And uh, especially these floor coats or wood coats, they are not very safe, smooth or even surfaces. So if your paint has got good flow, it will fill up all the cracks. I've made a very rough diagram here that you can see. This basically is a substrate, a concrete, which has a crack, and you have applied a coat on that. This coat, because of flow properties, has gone into the crack and filled it up. So when the paint sets or it's cured, this acts as an anchor. So it becomes a very good uh, system to improve the life of your paint. And if there is no flow, what will happen is it will not flow into the crack. The paint will be only on the surface. There will be some air entrapped in this. And if the surface is exposed to heat, the air will expand and cause the film separation. This is going to limit the life. So a good flow leveling agent, especially on these surfaces, will add value and improve the quality of your product. Wetting advantage. We spoke about high mill load base with a extender wetting agent. Yes, extender wetting agents do their job, but that job can be made easier if you are using a flow leveling agent. What happens is with a nominal addition of a flow leveling agent in your mill base, the base becomes very workable. It becomes very easily workable, and the grinding happens pretty fast and efficiently. So the wetting agent dosage required also comes down. So basically, addition of this will optimize the dose of your wetting agent. It will also bring down your grinding time. So it is a win-win situation. Uh, like in medical terms, if they say you should have a balanced diet, so you should have a combination of both wetting agent and flow leveling agent to get the best grinding and best results. So this actually takes care of your flow leveling property. Coming to your carbon black wetting problems. Carbon black, everyone knows, is a very tough nut to crack. It's not very easy to grind the carbon black. Why so? Why does this happen? Basics, as we are covering. The particle size of carbon black is very small. It has a very high surface area. And carbon black is also got very high adsorption capacity. Because of these reasons, carbon black is not very easy to grind. It is a very tedious and a painful process, a very lengthy process. Grinding of carbon black actually, as I said, ideally happens over grinding of 72 hours. So it's not a very convenient thing. Uh, and uh, how does it present? What are the effects if the carbon black is not wetted well? It presents as the jetness, the blackness that is desired is not achieved. The tone doesn't become clean; it becomes dirty. It goes on the browner side and not the bluer side. Sometimes problems like casing can happen, especially if you have a injection molding or injecting system of application. You can see problems like flotation or settling also. And if you are not using a special product, the dose of the wetting agent will also be on a very higher side. So what's the treatment? Treatment is use a specially designed wetting agent for carbon blacks. There are many again here. You'll have to select one based on whether your system is solvent based or solvent free, which resins you are using. So you have options. Go ahead and select options. Make a educated selection. Uh, the results when you use a highly specialized product for your product blacks is you get the desired jetness, the tone is blue, there are no issues like casing, flotation, settling, and the dose is very optimized. It's the best dose that you can use if you are using a specialized product. Uh, Coming to the next problem, that's TiO2 wetting problem. Now, some people will say, does this topic have merit in discussion at this level? They say titanium is a pretty easy pigment to grind. It wets very easily. Some even go to the extent of saying that titanium के लिए wetting agent की जरूरत क्या है, वो ऐसे ही grind हो जाता है. All these statements are partially true. Yes, titanium, as they say, तो गाय है, आराम से हम उसको अपनी तरफ मोड़ सकते हैं. सही है, पूरा गलत नहीं है, पूरा सही भी नहीं है. Titanium is a very pretty easy pigment, one of the easiest pigments to grind. It gets wetted very easily. It goes into the system very easily. whichever system, water-based, solvent-based, your industrial epoxies, titanium does go in very easily. But why are we talking about it? Titanium has got one basic property which no other pigment has, and that is re-agglomeration or reflocculation properties. You have dispersed your titanium, you have ground it well, you have dispersed it well, but what happens over a period of time is titanium particles reflocculate and they come out of the system. When they come out of the system, uh, say for example, you have added 25% titanium in your enamels and made a very nice white, ultra white or bright white, as many people call it, a white enamel. But after 3 months, the titanium particles reflocculate, reagglomerate, and the effective dose of titanium might be 16 to 18%. Rest of it all has hidden behind each other because of the flocculation. So what happens when the titanium dose has reagglomerated? You get a clear varnish, a violet tinted varnish at the top, which is called vehicle separation. The whiteness and the brightness of the titanium is reduced because the effective titanium has come down. So all these problems happen because of your reagglomeration. What is the surgery to be performed? Again, obvious. I don't think I need to say this because all the slides have been saying the same thing. Use a specialized product that can prevent reagglomeration of titanium. There are products in the market which can do that. Use them, and the titanium remains in its dispersed stage. It gives better stability to your titanium dispersion, and your products are safe and stable over a period of time. Uh, Coming to the last section of my presentation, this basically I have tried to handle this segment not as problems, but I'm trying to handle this deformer in the form of what are the choices you have and what are the limitations of those choices. So starting with water-based paint, we have a few deformers which are commonly used. The most the first one which I'm tackling is the silicon deformers. Silicon deformers are actually deformers which are very commonly and very efficiently used in textile system. They have been adopted from the textile industry to the paint industry purely because of the cost factor. They are pretty cheap. They are available right from 60 rupees onwards, 60, 70 onwards. But they are absolutely not recommended for use in your paints, in your water-based paints, especially in any paints for that matter, because they cause a problem called pinholing and recoatability. You have applied one coat. If you have used silicon-based deformer, there's a high probability you will not be able to put a second coat on the top of it. Even if you put, the adhesion between the two coats is questionable and not efficient. So these are a big no. Uh, Coming to the next sector, that is your siloxane-based deformers. They are higher version, complex structures, and they don't usually cause pinholes and recoating issues. But word of caution is, if the dose used is high, even they can cause pinholes and recoating issues. So you will have to educate your staff. You will have to educate the labor at shop floor level. What are the problems that can happen? Let him know the gravity of the issue so that he is aware, and by mistake also he does not use a higher dose of siloxane deformers. So that is the limitation. Otherwise, siloxane based deformers are pretty good for your regular products, and they perform as a deformer very well. The third in the class, which I've often seen nowadays, are mineral oil emulsion form deformers. What are these actually? These are basically mineral oil deformers which are emulsified in water and then provided. What happens when they're emulsified? The cost comes down. But what happens which is not desired? You're obviously not giving 100% active content. Since you have emulsified your product, it doesn't remain hydrophobic, which is a basic uh, property of a deformer, that your deformer should be hydrophobic, not hydrophilic. And since it's an emulsion form, again, the stability is under question. If the stability is lost and the emulsion breaks, then your deformer will not perform as desired. These are the theoretical explanations why I will not prefer a mineral oil based emulsion. But practically, I have come across many people who are complaining they are adding mineral oil based deformer, they said, told me, and during the manufacturing process, there's no issue. The foam is well taken care of and there's no foaming. But when the painter is applying the paint on the wall or on whatever surface he's applying on, what happens is the roller creates foam, the brush creates foam, and that foam is not taken care of where the complaints. I have faced this problem a couple of times, and on digging deeper, I found out they were using mineral oil deformers, but in emulsion form. So, based on experience, see, I don't have any documentation for it, but based on many people's experience, I have concluded and I would like to share that mineral oil deformers fall short of activity or being performance oriented till the end stage, the application stage. So I will not never advise anyone to use emulsion form mineral oil based deformers. Coming to the last category, that is the mineral oil based deformers, the age old NDW and XZ. Those are the mineral oil based deformers. These are the ideal deformers which have absolutely no issue of pinholes, recoating. Even at a higher dose, they don't cause these problems. And they perform till the end stage. The painter is happy. There's no foam at any stage. And sometimes even if you spray the paint, there's still no foam. So these, according to me, are the ideal deformers. The second in choice will be the siloxane deformers, provided you take care of the dose. And so for water-based deformers, these are the common ones. There are newer ones, but those will not be fitting in the economics. So and they're very rarely used. So I'm skipping them. Coming to deformer selection and limitation in your solvent-based paints, both decorative and industrial. Here the choice you have, I have again selected 4 common choices. The first and foremost is where we ended in water-based, mineral oil-based deformer. Their application, their performance, though is not questionable, their application is limited because of the compatibility issue. Many times these mineral oil is not compatible with your resin system, with your solvent system. So because of those reasons, they have a limited application. Otherwise, if your system is compatible, you can very well choose these. Uh, you'll have to take the educated guess. And the second in structure in the choices is complex silicon-based deformers. These are not the regular silicon-based deformers that you saw in your water-based paint, silicon or siloxane. These are more complex structures. They are available in 2 forms, the regular and the solvent-free. These deformers are very good with your epoxies and PU systems. They work wonderfully. The regular one goes good with your solvent-based epoxies and PUs. The solvent-free one goes good with your solvent-free and solvent-based system. The advantage solvent-free one has is the dose is very nominal. They are in 100% pure form. They are totally solvent-free, 100% active. So the dose is less. So don't let the cost scare you away from these products. They are very efficient, super efficient, and since the dose becomes very minor, they become economically viable also. Next in category is there are some copolymer based silicon free deformers that are available in the market. My experience is these deformers are good, but as far as deforming is concerned, they are not as good as silicon based deformers. So the selection of these products will be where silicon compatibility is issue. If your paint system does not accept silicon, then I'll say you can go for these. Uh, they're also good, mind you, but they have that limited application. The last in this category are ester-based defoamers. These are wonderful defoamers. They go very good with your polyester-based products, with your PUs, epoxies as well. They go good. They can be used. The only limitation which I have seen is they can be a bit temperature sensitive. So if your system is going to go at a higher temperature, I will prefer using a complex silicon-based defoamer to these. Or if you have to use these, you can use it in divided dose. Initially, you add half of the dose, let it take care of the system while it's running, and rest of the half, which is required during application, can be used at the end stage and incorporated in the system for the best performance during application. So with this, we cover the defoamers, and this was the last topic. Before we start the question and answer session, I think we have some time to take questions, but in case you don't uh, think up the questions right away and yeah, something pops in your head later on, you can submit your questions on this form and I'll attend to them. So, has everyone taken care of the snapshot of this thing? I'll stop the slide share. Before I stop, I would like to thank the entire IPCA team for the opportunity given and the platform provided. It's a wonderful team effort by the entire team. And thank you again, all the delegates, for your valuable time and being here trying to learn and improve yourself. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, and hearty congratulations. It was really a striking presentation. Why I call it striking is because I was just going through the entire session, all glued and all ears. Common pain problems. The word used before that, surgery. That's why I call it striking, because when a doctor uses the word surgery, I think you have to be really serious and follow the presentation with all seriousness, which we all have done. I really loved your drawing parallel comparisons also to your additives to vaccination, and that gassing is not a celebration, and titanium to guy hai. It was really wonderful, and in unexpected lines, sir, that this was supposed to be a session where all the answers would be already be provided to the delegates. I was expecting it to have still the maximum number of questions, which the numbers are really indicating. So we have a lot many questions. I would apologize all my friends that we might not be able to entertain each and every request, but be rest assured we will get back to you after discussing with Dr. Saab, and we will ensure your queries are answered too. As moderator, sir, I have the first right, a very generic question for you. I think which would probably be a gist of so many summary of questions which have come on this platform. Are all surgeries 100% successful?
You have to be selective. There is obviously a risk involved. You have to weigh the pros and cons. I'm talking like a doctor again here.
And diplomatic too.
But you have to weigh your pros and cons and select a surgery based on merit. If it's required, it has to be done, whatever the consequences.
Okay.
Most of the time, with the new technology and with the new know-how, the surgeries are successful.
Thank you so much, sir. One more quick question. The defect you are referring to, pinholing. So I have experienced this also. Whenever there's a pinhole, film defect is there, and I'm a resin manufacturer, so I say the resin is not at fault, and I say maybe the solvent is at fault, and the solvent manufacturer says there is no moisture in my solvent. You can get it tested. We are not at fault. Then people blame it on the system, that maybe the spraying is not proper or there is moisture in the system. And even with the addition of some additives to reduce the pinhole, there is an improvement sometimes, but it's not a total solution. So what could be the probable reasons? What could we attribute the main reason to be at fault? When it comes to a pinholing.
There can be multiple reasons, as I said in the presentation. Also, there might be contamination. There can be a poor surface preparation. There can be a wrong choice of your solvents. wrong combination of resins with additives. There can be many incompatibility things. Uh, Sometimes there are some intrinsic properties of certain resins. Like I have seen very commonly with epoxies, phenolling is a common thing that happens with epoxies, even if you take care of all the probable problems. It can be a combination of your hardener dose. There can be multiple issues, but there can be situations where there's no actual cause on which you can pinpoint. In medical terms, it is called idiopathic. There's no reason. It
Okay.
still happens.
Okay. Okay. We need to keep on exploring.
Yeah.
A question from one of our participants, that is DC 1040 low foaming and APEO free?
DC 1040 for your whites is APO free, yes.
And
And
what is the recommended dosage for this?
dosage will be around, depends on your system actually, but roughly I can say it will be around 5% or uh, 2 to 5% of your titanium.
Okay. Okay, sir. Uh,
As far as foaming is concerned, we are basically talking about solvent-based system where foaming is not a major issue associated with your wetting agents. So I will consider it non-foaming.
okay. Okay. Thank you so much. The next question is, what can be added to increase the sheen, in shine in the high sheen water-based paints?
Uh, Actually, there's no shortcut for this.
People
Basically,
want to look beautiful, but you,
uh, uh, see, if you want a beautiful wife, you'll have to take care of all her nakras.
we all know that, sir.
So, if you want good sheen, you'll have to use a good binder, sufficient binder. You'll have to use specialized extenders, finer grade, good quality extenders. You'll have to wet them well. You'll have to take the process. Like people want to get good sheen when they're making it in a high-speed stirrer, and maybe they want to get done with the whole process within 30 minutes.
Okay.
You can't have it all. It
Okay.
can be achieved. People are making. So it's optimization. You'll have to see the balance out the economics and the sheen. Okay, वो कौन सा ऐड था, एमटीवी का था, इतने पैसे में इतना ही मिलेगा, वैसा है.
ठीक है, sir. Another question we have for you. Any good defoamer you would suggest for UPR, unsaturated polyester resin?
Yes, unsaturated polyester resins, I will suggest go for the ester-based defoamers. Those will be very nicely compatible and they will work wonderful. Especially there are clients of mine who are into these uh, FRP systems and the composites of that, the door handles, the bumpers. They are using these products, and that's ideal. I will prefer them to the silicon based.
Okay, sir. And so the last question which we'll have for you, this is regarding that gassing in the oil-based systems, which you have already referred to. There are a couple of questions regarding that. I'll just try to summarize all three questions together. That
Sure.
is the proper selection of a pH stabilizer is the only solution for gas formation in solvent-based paints, or we have to look for other measures. And unlike water-based paints, the pH effect on solvent-based is not critical. So how gassing problem can be taken care of by pH stabilizer? Please share the mechanism.
Uh, mm, hmm. Basically, gassing problem happens in your highly acidic, like it's more pronounced. Practical evidence is you see more gassing problem in your CNSL based product than your alkyd based product. You rarely see it in your epoxies or PUs because there the acid involved is not much. These are the resins which have acid. So this is a indirect practical evidence that says the gassing is happening because of that. And what we have experienced is using a pH stabilizer has virtually gotten rid of this problem in many people whom we have recommended to. Practical experience that's happening. The chemistry part of it is pretty complex to be discussed on this platform. You can guide that person, those people to me. I'll respond to them on that. नहीं तो अगले लेक्चर वाले सोच मेरे नाम से गाली देंगे कि पब्लिक सो गया.
Then, sir, I think we will put a pause there. I would just apologize to the participants that we can't take care of all the questions due to the paucity of time. Thank you so much, sir. Pleasure having you here. And over to Jatin ji now.
Thanks a lot, Rohan. And it was a beautiful presentation, specifically, the question and answer session. We could have, carried on just like this for maybe another 15, 20 minutes. But yes, if Rohan has committed that he'll get back to you with all the answers to all the people who have posted the questions, very well received. Dr. Saab, so nice of you to spare your time and share your knowledge with all our members and delegates. And there's a small token of appreciation from Indian Paint and Coating Association. So this is the virtual presentation that we're giving you. Of course, it will be couriered to you shortly.
Thank you. Thank you.
So nice of you, sir. Thanks a lot. Have a nice day.
Bye.
Friends, next we have not one, but two speakers. IPCA welcomes Dr. Umberto Tua, Technical Service Manager, and Dr. Niccolò Martinelli, Sales Manager from Sapichi. Sapichi is a global leading company in high-performance polyurethanes for coatings, flexible packaging, industrial adhesives, pre-polymers, inks, and more. Technical presentation topic will be low-free monomer content polyisocyanate, latest change in regulation in Europe, impact on rest of the world. A brief about Dr. Niccolò Martinelli, who graduated in law in 2006, is a member of the board of Sapichi since 2005, sales manager Sapichi Italy from 2005 to 2010, sales director of Sapichi China from 2010 to 2016, sales and marketing manager of Sapichi Italy since 2017 with special focus on emerging markets and special products. Information of Dr. Tua. He's a technical assistant manager at Sapichi Spa full-time since 2019, laboratory manager of IPM Italia, 2018-19, laboratory manager IPCO Chemical Europe SRL, 2017-2018, laboratory manager Carware SRL, September 97 till 2017, which is a good long 19 years. And he got his education in industrial chemistry from Università degli Studi di Milano. Warm welcome to Dr. Niccolò and Dr. Umberto. And I want you to first comment that my pronunciation of your Italian names and of course the way you have studied and all the companies is perfect. So I need your compliment on that. It was not very easy for me.
So good afternoon, everybody. We are extremely glad to this invitation and to be part of the IPCA. So in these difficult times is always a good way to talk with a lot of people and let the things going on. So really, again, thank you to everybody for this great opportunity. My presentation will be extremely short. It will be just a very short introduction of Sapichi, and I will introduce what Dr. Tuan is going to explain in details. So I will share my screen just for a brief introduction. Okay. Perfect. So all the materials that we are showing, you will receive a copy. So if something is not clear or if you want to go more into the details, you will have all the information directly from IPCA. So Sapichi is an Italian private-owned company established in 1936. What we do is everything about the polyurethanes for whatever application. Obviously, today we will take care more about the coating industry, but polyurethane is a very versatile product. So Sapichi is trying to develop product for every kind of application. One very important thing of Sapichi that was built in 1936 and is able to fight against multinational companies is the fact that we have always been ahead of the industry for the polyurethane development. What does it mean? We are the first world producer of the low-free monomer content technology, because as you know, isocyanates are not the most friendly material and they are extremely dangerous. So we have been able to reduce the free monomer content below 0.1%. And we are extremely lucky that finally the European community has decided to embrace this new technology to protect the health of the users and of the final customers. Sapici has 3 manufacturing plants, 2 in Italy and 1 in China. Each plant is doing something different. So the 2 plants in Italy, the picture at the top and the one at the bottom, are made for the production of the standard products and the new technologies, so the low-free monomer content and the water-based technology. The plant that we have in China is for the production of the polyols, so the alkyd resins and saturated polyesters. Which kind of competitive advantage Sapici is able to deliver to the customers, or at least we try? First of all, the technical support. What we kindly ask to all the participants is to think about Sapici as their own lab. So we are very glad to do the technical job for you, to provide technical service directly at your factory. But what is most important, you are more than welcome to visit Sapici and to bring your questions to our lab and to solve all the problems together with our team. We are active in 95 countries around the world with the support of 53 partners. I don't like to use the word distributors, I prefer to say partners, because we win together and we deliver our technology together with our partners. Let's start to go more into the details and to the most interesting part. This is a map of all the technology that we have. So as I told you, we have products for coatings, for adhesives, sealants, and elastomers, for inks, for laminating adhesives, and for cast elastomers. For all these business units, we have solvent-based, solvent-free, and water-based solution. So what we are going to show today, there will be 2 presentations. One that was not mentioned, but we decided to add to the presentation, is about a system that we call easy to use. So this system, as Dr. Tuan will show you, is a system based on 2 resins and 2 hardeners to make a complete wood coating system, from the sealer to the top coat, from a clear to a pigmented system, from a matte to a high gloss. So I repeat again, is a called easy to use system, and it complies the combination of 2 resins and 2 hardeners. This is all you need to make a high quality, complete system for wood coating. Then the other part of the presentation of Dr. Tuan will be about the low-free monomer content technology, so the 0.1% isocyanate, to reduce the hazardness of the products and to increase the safety of the workers and for the final customers. So I would like to thank you for this opportunity, and now I let the most interesting part of the presentation to go on. So Dr. Tuan, the audience is all yours.
Good afternoon to everyone. Okay, good afternoon to everyone. It's the first time that I'm participating to this event for Indian market. I'm very glad to be here and to have the opportunity to speak to everyone of the public and from the attendees. I would be glad to participate personally, but the event that we are facing for COVID don't allow us this opportunity, but I'm very glad for the opportunity that this web conference allows to us to make our presentation. So I will share my screen with you, and I will start presenting the products for the easy-to-use system, as Dr. Martinelli presented you. Okay, we are speaking about a system that is suitable for making wood paintings products, starting from wood barriers, from base coat, sealers and base coats, products for matte top coat, and products for gloss top coat, clear and pigmented. Now let's see a table where we can see which are our products suitable for this type of application. If we need a special product for making a barrier against the tannin extraction from tropical woods, we suggest to use our Polurine MD50EA. It may be
Umberto,
used.
sorry, you're not sharing the screen.
I'm not sharing the screen. Okay.
No.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, it's okay now.
Yes, now it's clear. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, the first product I want to present to you is our Polurine MD50EA. It's a product that it's normally used for creating a barrier to exotic woods to avoid the extraction of tannins from wood and avoiding in this way discoloration problems on the former hands that we want to apply. Then, speaking of products that we use for base coat or sealers, we can use our Rexin 1561 for clear and pigmented sealers in combination with our hardener Polurine 60T. If we look at products for top coat, clear and pigmented system, we can see that Rexin 1561 is suitable for clear, matte, and pigmented matte system. In the first case, we must use it in combination with Polurine 60T, and in the second case, we must use it in combination with Polurine OKHP that allows us a better stability to light. If we speak about gloss finish, clear and pigmented, we must use our Rexin DP127 in combination with the Polurine 60T for clear top coats and in combination with the Polurine OKHP for pigmented top coats. As you can see, only 2 base resin and only 2 hardeners for all the system. Polurine 60T is an hardener that has a very, very big versatile. It is a hardener at 60% of solids in butyl acetate. It is a product that allows to have a very good balance between the fast the fastness of drying and the hot life that can warrant. And it is a product also that allows to have a very good compatibility with different systems and different components that we can introduce inside our system, like nitrocellulose, like vinylic system, like carb solution, and so on. The same thing we can say for polyurethane OKHP, with the advantage that being a product that is an hybrid system between TDA and HDA allows us to have a better light stability in comparison with polyurethane 60T. So both the products have a very good compromise between the fastness of drying and the longer pot life. Very, very good compromise. And both are suitable for matte or gloss system. So with only with 2 harness, we can cover all the field of application that we can have on wood. So we can see now on the tail of the systems. Now we will speak about products for base coats and wood barriers. If we look at our main products in our portfolio, we can see that the characteristic, speaking about pore filling, wettability, anti-solvents properties, sanding, pot life, and flexibility, we can see that with Rexin 1561, we have a very good compromise between all these properties. It is not the best product for specific application, but it is a product that allows us to cover very well all the field of our application. If we look at in detail, we can see that if we need a very good adhesion, we can work with Rexin 1561. The same if we need a good flexibility of the system. The same if we need something that is very easy to sand in our base coat. The same if we need something with good anti-solvent properties. And the same if we need a very good pigment wetting. So and extender wetting. So with Rexin 1561, we have a very, very good properties that allows us to make all type of formulation for base coat and sanding base coats. The only point that we don't cover with 1561 is a blocking barrier for tannins, and in this case we must use our polyurethane MT50EA. Here we can see a formulation for clear sealer, very easy to realize and very, very often used by our customer. It is based on Rexin 1561, and it is catalyzed with our polyurethane 60T. We can see that we have a very low viscosity when it is diluted with solvent. We have a very fast drying and also a very fast sanding properties of the seam. Then, speaking about products for matte top coats, we can see our main products for this type of application that we can find in our product portfolio. And again, we can see that Rexin 1561 is a product with very good balanced properties in terms of matting efficiencies, fullness, transparency, curing speed, pot life, and flexibility. So again, with Rexin 1561, we can combine large properties for making matte top coats clear and pigmented. Again, we can see the specific properties of the product for good leveling. It is suitable 1561 for a easy matte raising for giving a good matting effect. 1561 is still idonous. We have a very good balance between surface hardness, that is properties that is normally required from customer, but also flexibility, hardness, and the good balance between hardness and flexibility allows us to have a very good surface with very good scratch resistance and also very good resistance to impact that you don't have when you have a too hard surface. We have a very good pigment and filler wetting, and so in this way we can formulate the pigmented system only for high performance systems in terms of resistance to abrasion and hardness. Then is preferred our Rexin EP390. But the distance between Rexin 1561 is not so much. And the same we can say for Rexin 2039 in the anti-scratching application. I can show you the formulation for clear matte top coat. Against the base resin is our Rexin 1561. Is harness is again Polrain 60T. As we can see, we can have a long port life. We can reach easily a gloss of 30 degrees at with the angle of 60 degrees. And we can have a good hardness level and a good drying time for our system. At least we are speaking about the product for high gloss top coat. In this case, we must change our base resin because Rexin 1561 is not suitable for making glossy effect, but is suitable for making matte effect. In this case, our selected product is Rexin DP127 that we can see as a very good balance between all the properties, speaking about polishability of the system, fullness, anti-yellowing, curing speed, pot life, and flexibility. In this table, we can see that the product is suitable for high gloss top coat resins, for high gloss effect for clear high gloss effect, and also for pigmented high gloss effect. The system is easy to polish. It's not very low in viscosity if compared with these two special resin, but it's a resin that allows to make high solid system too. It is a resin suitable for good leveling system effects. It's a resin suitable for fast curing system. Fullness is not his main characteristic. For fullness, our best resin is Rexin 2268. Speaking about pigmented system, we can see again that there's a product with fast curing properties, good anti-yellowing properties, so it can be used also outside. It has a very good wetting properties for titanium dioxide, but it may be used also for make pigmented paste, so it has very good properties also towards all the other pigments that we can find on the market. It is specific for titanium dioxide, but its behavior with all the other pigments is very good. Again, I can show you a formulation based for a white gloss coat. In this case, we have a pigmented system. The formulation is based on Rexin DP127, and the arm this time is fullerene OH-HP that allows us a better resistant to light. We can see we have a good level of solids. We can reach a gloss of 100. We have a good level of superficial hardness, and we have a curing time that is very good for a glossy system. So with the SAP-HE product line, it is possible to formulate a complete high-quality coating range, starting only from 2 polyester resin, alkyd polyester or polyester resin, and from 2 isocyanic resin only. So again, we have Rexin 156-1, Rexin DP127, fullerene MD50EA for anti-tanning barrier, fullerene 60T for general application, and fullerene OH-HP for pigmented applications. Thank you for your kind attention. Now, if there are some questions. If there are questions on
Thank you so much,
okay,
Dr. Tuan. Really a wonderful presentation. And
okay.
Thank you.
If there are no questions, I can go on with the second presentation.
Okay, you have to continue. Yeah, please continue. Yeah, we take the questions at the end, please. Huh? After you're done with your presentation.
Okay, okay, I go on with the other presentation.
Please carry on.
Now speaking about the second topic of this session, we are speaking about the new restriction adopted by European community on isocyanic monomers inside products. This restriction has been adopted starting from August 3, 2020, so is very recent, and will came into exercise starting from 2023. So all European producers have 3 years for adequate their system to new restriction. Which is the topic of this restriction? European coating wants, European community wants to improve people safe against chemical. isocyanate monomers have been selected between the chemical as something that is very dangerous for human health. So European community towards REACH decided to adopt some limitation to the monomers use. The first limitation is made by the quantity of monomer that is allowed inside the products. All the limitation will concern all the product that contains more than 0.1% of free monomers inside the formulation. With this restriction, European communities oblige all companies who are working with monomers to make a professional training to all the people that is working there. The second limitation is consists in implement the technical and organization measures that are necessary for the product application. The third factor will impact on product labeling that will oblige all producers to label the products with the GHS 8 picture, the exploding man. So now we can look in detail on the measure that must be adopted from the European companies. We are speaking to you about this change in legislation because okay, Indian market is not subject to REACH, but if Indian companies want to sell their goods to European market, they must subscribe all the European legislation. So I think this is useful information for you, but maybe useful information for you also because maybe this is a trend that progressively will be adopted towards all the world. Because today there are the products that allow us to overcome this type of problems. So the first measure that must adopt all the user of products containing monomers is professional training to all the people that is involved. The training is something that has three levels. A general level that must be made for all people in the companies and gives general information. Then it will be an intermediate level of training for all people involved in isocyanate monomers manipulation. So we are speaking about people in the laboratories, but also the people that is in the production plant who use the products in the plants by throwing the drums and the cistern and so on. The third level is the advanced level and is something that will interest all people that will work with monomers, isocyanic monomers, without without the plants, out of the plants. So people who is making spraying for building application or spraying for naval application, or spraying application without the cabin, or people who is making maintenance on plants where there is not cured monomer, and so where there is direct contact to the monomer. All these measures, the importance is that all these measures don't interest only the manufacturers of paints or manufacturer of other goods made based on isocyanate. This measure interests also the applicators. So if I am a paint producer, this measure will interest also my customer who is buying the paints from me. So the importance to have a solution to avoid this limitation is very great. So here in the slide we can see the details of the different levels of training that people must make, but I think it's not something that in this moment is not very interest for you. What is interest for you in this moment is looking the situation of isocyanate market. Speaking about TDI products for paint market, standard products have a monomer content of 0.5% of monomer. Sappici has developed the polyurethane line where the level of free monomer is below 0.1%. Speaking about MDA market, normally standard products have a content of free monomer from 7 to 15%, and we developed the product with a content of free TDI MDA with that is inferior to 0.1%. Speaking about HDI, we have a standard product that have a monomer content that is 0.15. And today with polyurethane line, we have products with free monomer content below than 0.1. So by using products from our polyurethane line, we can avoid all the limitation that we have with new restriction. So the labeling begins from JS08 to JS07, so the exclamative mark. And we don't have to do anymore all the training for the people who is using the product containing isocyanate. Here we can see our product line. Polyurethane is a complete line for paint system, and these are all products with a monomer content that is below 0.1%.
Dr. Umberto, I would request you to kindly conclude. Thank you.
Yes. All these products are for paint market. Then we have also products for adhesive market, for adhesive and for membranes market. And the replacement of this product to the standard product is very easy. So it may be done one-to-one without any complication. To the formulator.
So
thank you very much for your kind attention.
So nice of you, gentlemen, for your very informative presentation. I'm requesting Rohanji to, if he has any shortlisted any questions, then he can please ask them.
First of all, congratulations to both our guest speakers. It was really wonderful and enriching to hear both of you. We really appreciate that you putting the IPCA logo on your background. We are really humbled with that. And I really even appreciate Dr. Nicolo's mention as his distributors as channel partners. I think it's a wonderful thought and a lovely phrase to use. And hopefully, God bless you with more such channel partners in the future. My question to Dr. Tuan is that what is the hydroxyl value of the resin 1561, and what is the isocyanate equivalent weight for 60T? So in order to comprehend or understand what is the base hardener combination for your clear, matte and gloss systems, if you could kindly elaborate, please.
Okay, let me see. For 1562, we have an OH level of 2.4% of OH calculated on supply form. And for 60T, we have isocyanic content that is 9.7%.
Okay. So what is your recommended combination for the three systems, like your clear and matte and your sealer systems, gloss systems?
We have a lot of starting formulation that we can supply to our customers. So the combination level may be very different depending on the effort that we want to reach. For the sealer, we can stay with the system that are under catalyzed, so with a saturation of OH that is at 50%. For finish, we can arrive to 90-10% of saturation. Then it depends very much on the system we are making, on the solids we want to reach, on the combination of the standard and so on. So you can give a direct reply. We have a very lot of formulation of this with this material with very different combination. It's a very, what I want to underline is that the system is very elastic and allows a very big freedom of combination.
Okay. Friends, any specific queries, we definitely get you connected to Dr. Tuan. And one quick question for Dr. Nicolo, a very generic one. I was just listening to your presentation, and you made a use of a specific phrase that we are dealing with danger. The product lines we are in, we are dealing with danger. So one quick query, danger is danger, definitely, but does less danger mean that we are going towards safety or ensuring the regulatory compliance, or that danger is still very much in existence?
Now, when we say about lower dangerousness, it means that really the operators and the user can really avoid to use mask, gloves, or glasses, as the regulation is saying, because the ECA has been extremely strict on this. So below a certain level is like mentioning that the product doesn't contain isocyanate, okay? So this limit of 0.1 is really is a pioneering technology, because as many of our participants will know, as much as I reduce the free monomer content, the more I will reduce the reactivity of the products and all the benefit of the monomer content. But it will increase by far the safety. So the challenge for SAPICI was to guarantee a switch of 1 by 1 between the standard 0.5% product to the low free monomer product. So there will be no difference in the reactivity, in the viscosity, in the NCO. So the formulation will remain the same, but most of all, the safety of the workers will increase by far.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to both the lovely gentlemen, and it was a pleasure having you here. I would hand over to Jatinji right now.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. And just to finish, if anybody wants to receive the complete formulation for the easy to use system, we will send all the package with all the information.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Nicolo and Martinelli. It was a pleasure having you amongst us. So now, as a token of our appreciation, we would like to present you a small memento. Which of course will be quoted to you later on. But I think now we cannot even shift to you in a virtual background. Yeah, we can. Great. So nice of you, sir, for your time and your efforts and a beautiful presentation.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Going ahead, we have the next speaker from Dow. Amongst the top 3 of the world's largest chemical producers, Dow Chemicals. Hello. Dow Chemicals will be represented by Mr. Girish A. Bhagwat. He'll be speaking on the topic Understanding Additives Technology. Girish A. Bhagwat is working with DCIPL division of Dow, the material science company, as technical services leader responsible for providing technical support to customers in South Asia. He works closely with customers, Dow R&D, and marketing to establish new concepts, resulting into commercialization of products. He has a total of 30 years of experience in design, development, and applications of waterborne coatings. Girish started his career from Asian Paints in 1990, moved on to become R&D manager at Snowsome Paints India Limited before taking the present role with Roman Haas in 2003, which is now part of Dow. He has published articles on various technical subjects in Paint India Journal and has made presentations on the topics related to waterborne coatings. Girish is a graduate in chemistry from Mumbai University and also holds a diploma in paint technology from IPCA and Color Society. Over to you, Mr. Bhagwat, and thanks a lot for attending all our preparatory and rehearsals in advance, and looking forward to your presentation.
Yeah, thanks, Jatin. Let me share my screen. I hope I'm sharing it. Not yet. Okay, so now as I'm the last speaker, and as we know, we are reached almost the weekend. I would not take a lot of time from all of you. We make it crisp and short and as simple as possible so that we refresh the basics of using paint additives, foodborne paints, especially architectural paints. Okay, so let me get started. So if you see this can of paint, basically comprises of several ingredients. One of them, the major ones, which actually influence a lot of performance related parameters apart from binder, is the additives. The green line that you see on the center of the container, a high PVC paints uses a little less additives compared to a low PVC paints in terms of the quantity, but still they are present everywhere. So you need them to sort of do specific functions. So let's see one by one as to what these are. I'm going to keep it simple. My focus of the talk is to give you an overview with respect to rheology modifiers and how they function in terms of delivering the final film, that is what customer or the consumer sees from the can of paint onto the wall. So this is the rheology is what is going to be important, although I will touch base upon a little bit on other additives as well during the talk, and I'll try to be, as I said, be as crisp as possible. So talking of rheology modifiers, basically these are several types of them. The main role of using rheology modifiers is to hold the pigment and extenders which are denser in suspended state and not settle them in the can. This also helps converting the paint into a smooth, uniform film on the wall, right? The paint is in the can, which is in liquid state, but actually what consumer finally sees is a paint on the wall. So Jatin, I am just a bit curious as to know. I'm sharing my screen, and you can see me on the video as well.
Yes, yeah, it's absolutely perfect.
Okay, great. Because otherwise I'll end up speaking myself and not even realize. So thanks a lot for confirmation.
I'll clap for you
So
at the end, sir. Don't worry.
so the rheology modifiers also influences the level of gloss or sheen development. By the way, you make a right choice. So it's a very important ingredient. We'll spend a little bit more time on that during the talk. Apart from this, of course, you use surfactants and dispersants, which aid the dispersion of pigments, keeping them separated from each other and not let agglomerate. Uh, they also help eventually when the paint is applied on the wall, so wet the surface on which the paint is being applied. So the surfactant that we add in paint not only influences the the pigments, but it also influences to some extent the surface. So you have to make sure that the surface tension of your paint is lower than that of the wall on which it is being applied. So that's important, and it really helps with color acceptance and color development. We also add, additives like co-solvents that are added in paints for improving the open time, making sure the coalescence takes place, because the suspended polymer particles eventually has to merge. Otherwise it won't have the resistance properties, the mechanical properties that we want to achieve. So obviously the coalescent role is very important. We also add biocides, paint film preservatives, in-can preservatives. We add defoamers, slip and mar resistance, water CFO, and also sometimes some additives to make sure that the film is smooth and silky to touch. Since it's water-based, we want to maintain the pH by using amines rather than ammonia, because people don't like these days the smell. We also add these to some extent influence the freeze-thaw stability and open time. Okay, now yesterday we already had a very good talk of various additives by the colleague Abhijit from BYK, but I'll not complicate things. I'll try to keep it simple. Basically, what do we understand by rheology? So, rheology, in a very simple layman's term, it's a science of deformation and flow. Okay, so it's basically the resistance to flow, which is being monitored using various viscometers that we have. And an ideal goal is to sort of not resist the flow too much, so that the uniform film is formed. At the same time, it should not flow out so much that it will also sag and also lead to some amount of settling. So two types of rheologies that we encounter in paint. One is the pseudoplastic rheology, which actually are important for high PVC, mid PVC paints, where we end up adding a lot of water for dilution. So these type of materials will sort of show reduction in viscosity as we increase the shear. So shear means what? We stir the paint, using during the paint manufacturing, it's being dispersed using high-speed stirrers, and during application we mix the paint, maybe pick it up on the brush. We'll talk about the rheology profile in a couple of minutes, but pseudoplastic rheology is there is a reduction in viscosity as we apply the shear, and it is gained back slowly as we remove the shear. Now that helps, especially in high PVC paints. It's good because of the dilution that happens, significant dilution that happens. And the Newtonian rheology is the viscosity is independent of the shear rate or shear that we apply. So liquids like oil, alkyds, water-based paints thickened with associative thickeners, these are near Newtonian. It's not exactly Newtonian. You can't have exactly something which is flat as the x-axis. Okay. So here it is. if you see the red, actually depicts what I said as far as pseudoplastic rheology is concerned. In a paint, sort of whether it is in can or whether it's on the wall, the rheology file is actually finally determines how the paint is going to perform, right? So it should not have any kind of settling, separation issues. So your low shear viscosity is important. Then when you are going to pick it up on the brush or a little bit of mixing, the mid shear viscosity is important. And eventually when you apply it, significant rolling, brushing, or even spraying, your high shear viscosity is important. So all three viscosities are important that your paint should have. You can't have only high shear viscosity, otherwise you'll have the problems and brush loading. So ideal profile, would be the green one, like a near Newtonian. So what it says is the low shear viscosity is high, but it's not very high that you will have flow and leveling issues. And the high shear viscosity is also high, but it's not like so low that your film buildup will not happen. So eventually your all this gamut of things or technical jargons used has to translate from the can of paint, which is in liquid state, to a film which is on the wall, a more uniform film, as if you have put a sticker on it, sticker on the wall. So that appears by the rheology modifiers. Okay. So anyway, let's talk of how these are measured. We measure the low shear viscosity using Brookfield viscometer, 10-second inverse is as low shear as that. Then you have the Stormer viscosity, which is measured to sort of check when we are delivering the paint in the can of paint. It eventually will not lead to any kind of settling, etc., and pick up on the brush. So mid-shear viscosity is like 80-second inverse, and ICI Conan plate, which is 10,000 second inverse, especially brushing, rolling, etc. So we don't have to get into these jargons because it's a little bit complicated, as I understand. Many of them will get confused. So eventually, what it means is, you should not have problems when you apply it on the wall. So one of the problem is you should have uniform leveling. It's measured using this flow and leveling, test plate. There will be several local alternatives. Basically, there is a groove on that applicator. You make it draw down and keep it, in this direction to make sure the film that you are seeing on the extreme right with grooves, eventually those grooves should disappear. Okay, so that's what the aim is. You should not have any kind of loss of leveling. And sagging, when you apply the film, of course, it will have some amount of thickness eventually to achieve the opacity. We should not eventually, at a particular thickness like 25 or 50 micron lead to sagging. So sag living in sag and sag, anti-sag meter. It's a simple applicator again, at various film. Okay. And observe by holding this panel either vertical, not to keep it horizontal. You have to tie it or using a pin or something. You have to keep it hanging position like a wall. And the best way is to actually apply by brush and roller, and even if required by spray in case of gloss emulsion paints. So you have to choose a right rheology modifier to achieve all this, right? So let's talk of type of rheology modifiers that are used in paints. So first, of course, the age-old cellulosic thickeners, either an HEC or CMC. I won't get into this chemistry, but these are basically cellulose ethers of cellulose and eventually of different molecular weights, different viscosities that we use to thicken the paint. But mind you, this is a conventional thickening mechanism that cellulosic thickeners use. Conventional thickening means basically in a paint, we have water, and then we have got the dispersion like your resin or emulsion latex particles, pigment, so you have the aqueous phase and the dispersed phase, right? So either you thicken the aqueous phase or you thicken the dispersed phase. So cellulosic thickeners thicken the aqueous phase, which is the water, by hydrogen bonding and eventually leading to the viscosity that we see. So it just solubilizes into water and hydrogen bonds, and we see the viscosity. And then, of course, and long ago we have synthetic thickeners that appeared on the scene when Romanas did alkali soluble emulsions. Basically, these are molecular polymers of either acrylic, acrylic, or ethyl acrylate with 2,000 to 200,000 molecular weights. You neutralize this by an alkali and it neutralizes, and then eventually the chains open up and the hydrogen bonding, again, this is a conventional thickener. So conventional thickening mechanism plays a role, right? Associative thickener is a relatively newer concept which was basically developed to address a lot of issues that were faced with conventional thickeners, especially in premium paints where you wanted excellent flow and leveling, gloss, and appearance. So associative thickeners are two types. One is linear and one is branched. So what are these? Basically, you can see those hydrophobes, the green ones, and there is a small chain which leads to these are low molecular weight polymers as compared to the cellulosic or the conventional. So these hydrophobes end up associating with itself or with the pigments and latex particles. So that's where the networking happens. And when the networking happens, it obviously will have resistance to flow and therefore the viscosity. But these viscosities are not as high viscosities as with the conventional thickener, but it is high enough that it will not let the paint sag or have issues with respect to separation of pigments, etc. So that's what we want in premium paints. And there was a need for developing the hybrid of both technologies. So that's how haze thickeners appeared on the scene, which uses the mechanism of associative thickening and the conventional thickening, right? So it's two-in-one kind of a thickener. It enables you to achieve high to mid PVC paints viscosity that you can allow the paints to be diluted, and at the same time it allows you to have that associative network which will enable you to have a film which is more uniform when you eventually apply it. Now we have actually done the testing in our lab to see the effect of this. Okay, before going there, let me talk of benefits of a conventional thickening and benefits of associative thickening. So conventional thickening has got its own benefit. It's not ridiculous, okay, because it's used in high PVC predominantly, right? It's very reliable and robust. Abrupt viscosity changes don't occur. It also provides good resistance to sagging and settling and syneresis. So these are the advantages of conventional thickening. That's why they are being used. But the moment you talk of premium paints, low PVC premium paints, so associative thickener is a preference. Why? Because they are basically giving you excellent flow and leveling, gloss, and good film buildup. That is what is required, and also roller spatter. Roller spatter is something that paint they don't want to see the paint flying off from the wall and creating a lot of spattering on the floor, and thereby they need to clean it. So here I have tried to depict how eventually the film buildup using a conventional thickening and a conventional plus like a haze or associative thickening would deliver. So if you see on the left hand side, the conventional thickener, here we use the example of an HEC. When you eventually apply with a roller, what happens is many times the paint has to deposit on the surface, but it actually flings off the surface because the roller tends to pull it back, and that's why the deposition is not there. Whereas as compared to an HEC plus haze, now here also, not that it is great on flow and leveling, but there is a deposition which is ensured. That's why you see more opaque and more deposition when you use an HEC plus haze. So that's what is very important. Now this is just one coat. We could have applied 3 coats and it could have looked perfect. Similarly for associative thickener, when you see on the left hand side, here we have put little multiple 2 or 3 coats coats, perhaps. There is sort of the underneath black surface which is visible. The things have not flowed to an extent that they should have. So the film is not uniform on the left hand side. So on the right hand side, when you use a combination of a right choice of associative thickeners, which has got a perfect balance of low and high shear viscosity, eventually it will translate into a more uniform film, which will hide the substrate and also give you a perfect feel that it is not having any kind of issues with respect to the appearance. So the rheology profile, when you saw, you needed low shear, you needed mid shear, you needed high shear. How does it translate eventually into? It has to translate into a film that you like to see, right? So that's where I'm coming from, and the best way is to actually do all the juggleries in the lab, determine the high shear, low shear, mid shear, eventually apply and see how it delivers the performance. So we have done this several times in the lab, and we see these two particular rheology modifiers that we are promoting in the market, and there are some others as well that I will talk a little later. Delivers a film which has got balance of properties in terms of rheology profile. So here it is. So as I had already shown you, you need the low shear viscosity, you need the high shear viscosity, and the mid shear viscosity. So most of our hazes and some of the hewers, I've combined everything here. If you see the Acrosol DR72, which is somewhat familiar, most of you are familiar, it tending towards low shear viscosity, whereas the new one Acrosol TT935 that we are talking to tends towards mid to high shear viscosity improvement. So these are the range of products that we are talking to our customers in India. At the moment, it is available, that we are selling to through our distributors, or also directly to some companies. So it covers the entire spectrum of rheology modifiers that we are intending to sell, to sort of give you the final paint that looks nice on the wall. Okay, switching gears, I'll talk a little bit of dispersant. Although the conventional dispersants are hydrophilic dispersants, which have been used for high PVC paints conventionally. Especially high PVC requires a good stability. So you can't just put a lot of hydrophobic dispersant and achieve the stability. So you're talking of a hydrophobic dispersant, and then we are talking of a super hydrophobic dispersant like a CA2500. It is ammonia neutralized. It has got ease of handling like any other dispersant. Gives excellent pigment wettability, color development, etc. So all those things which are there on the left hand side, I don't want to repeat. I'll explain these photographs on the right what they are. If you see the water streak mark resistance, the photographs above, there are distinct those bright silvery kind of spots in the center of the left hand side. When you put a droplet of water and you let the film dry, okay, after it dries, you could have streaked or formed streaks of water by holding it in inclined, and you can see those rings or streaks. Here you're not able to see the streaks because we did not keep it inclined, but you can do it yourselves and see. If you are using a conventional hydrophilic dispersant in a mid to low PVC, like 45 PVC exterior paint, you will very clearly see there are some kind of streak marks or this kind of spottings that are seen. These are nothing but surfactant leaching eventually. And on the right hand side, now unfortunately I'm not able to, okay, on the right hand side, the CA2500 does not have. Uh, that's very much proven, and we are consistently able to convince some of the customers who like it to use, and they stay with it. Apart from this, on the color acceptance, especially the black color, you see there is a very good color acceptance using hydrophobic dispersant like CA2500 as compared to a conventional polyacrylic dispersant. If you have any questions, we'll talk later, but these two photographs are pretty clear in terms of demonstrating what this person does. And of course, as I said, Dow is representing several I mean, several businesses as a component of Dow. We have industrial solutions, which deals into surfactants. And this slide depicts what a product range that they are promoting currently. EcoSurf EH9, which is a 9 mole, surfactant, biodegradable, low aqua toxic. So this is, APO free 9 mole. Then you have got Tergitol 15AS40, which is an APO free, like, your Triton X405 equivalent, but it's APO free. And it both are excellent wetting agents, in terms of delivering the properties that a wetting agent should. So this is what are the choice that we would recommend. And then we have the co-solvents like Dovenol DPH 255, which is a new introduction actually, which talks of, something like a boiling point 254. So commercial equivalent is like TMB or Texanol. So we are promoting this with, which can reduce your MFFT effectively and give you film formation at lower dosage. Eventually, that's the objective. And you have UCAR MF90, again, a multifunctional additive which enhances the pH stabilization and excellent efflorescence and water resistance. The efflorescence resistance, photograph that you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The sixth one is this new amine. This is basically tested by dipping these panels into alkali solution as per the ASTM method, and you see that the efflorescence resistance is pretty good. And also, if you see the same way on extreme right bottom, the blister resistance is good. So these two are the ones which are, showing any kind of distinction between whatever is being currently used in the market. Okay, so we have a distributor who deals and supports. In case if you have any questions on this, like me, I have my colleague in the industrial solutions TSND. I can connect you to him, so please feel free to get in touch with me. And this is Dowsil additive 87. Especially to impart excellent hydrophobicity, which is long term, even after exterior exposure. It's a 40% active silicones emulsion, and it's being recently approved at some few large companies. They're using it successfully to impart excellent water repellency for mid to high PVC. This is you have to carefully use, but it once you formulate it properly, because you have to have balance of everything without any issues, and it is a kind of product that is commercially successful in India. And therefore, if you want a sample or want to try this out, again, reach out to me. I'll put you in touch with the right person for Dow Performance Silicones business. So these are the two slides which I wanted to also talk about as a collaborative effort within Dow, that these are the additives that we also sell. So I think I have finished. So I don't want to take, as I said, a lot of time. And if you have any questions, happy to take it.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Bhagwat. Rohan, you have any questions?
Probably Rohan did not expect that I finished so fast.
No, it's not about finishing so fast, but maybe you explained it very well. So I guess
you're so nice, Jatin.
He's actually not.
He's not?
Yeah, he's actually not. I'll meet you one-to-one. I'll explain it better to you.
Okay.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Mr. Bhagwat, for your wonderful presentation. And friends, like, we all know about the Bhagavad Gita and what it recites. So Mr. Girish Bhagwat, is actually the Bhagavad, or the holy book on emulsion and polymer technology or rheology modifiers. And it's always a pleasure having him with us and listening to him. We really appreciate your efforts, sir, because they say seeing is believing. By taking the effort in making those Morris charts and drawdown panels, it made our, conclusions clear.
Yeah.
A couple of questions, sir, we have for you. Specific one question from my side is regarding the haze thickener, your DR130. I think it goes in the high PVC systems, let's say in a product like distemper. What I have observed, sometimes when we don't get the desired viscosity to match the release specification, it is a very normal thing to, but add the thickener to get to the release specification. But once we do that, after a period of time, I have seen there is a problem on the stability of the product, or it even leads to gelation over a period of time. So could you explain to me the real reason behind this problem?
A good question, Rohan. Actually, basically, as I said, this is a combination of conventional thickening, which is conventional thickening is more robust, more friendlier to use, and associative thickener a little bit of notorious. Sometimes it changes the association with the choice of other raw materials, especially the latex particle, or the choice of surfactant and dispersant. The choice of TiO2 perhaps, because that's also another hydrophobic surface. So what typically done is, in such cases when you don't get your your equilibrated viscosity at the time of manufacturing, you need to be sort of making a choice of a particular dosage such that you achieve that. Increase the dosage of your conventional thickener. Okay. Because if you are using certain formulations, especially high PVC formulation and the emulsions which are going to show equilibrated viscosity at a later date, so during manufacturing, when I say later date means after 24 to maybe even sometimes 48, 72 hours. So during manufacturing, you will end up adding more thickener, right, to adjust the viscosity, and that's what actually is harmful, because eventually these will then show equilibrated viscosity. Maybe it is 10% high, 20% high, or maybe even 100 or 200% high, leading to
Okay.
gelation. So this is something which is quite natural with any associative thickener. So you need to be studying them properly in the lab and making sure of your choice, is what I can say. So best way is to use thickeners which will
Conservative.
tend towards having conventional thickening, like
Okay.
we have another one which we haven't talked about, so lower viscosity increase. So but generally people want higher efficiency to reduce the cost, because
Right.
HEC is expensive. So
Mhm.
so that's the trade-off, actually. Eventually maybe you release the batch at a lower viscosity and let it pick up later. So 10% lower. Okay, so a conventional thickener, you have maybe only 5% leeway, you leave here 10% leeway. So it's up to, I don't know how, that has to have the flexibility at the manufacturing as well to do that. So all those
Okay.
things. But there are people who have used haze thickeners quite successfully.
Noted, sir. Noted, sir.
Hope
Uh,
that answers.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. And the next question for you is how to prevent watermarks from exterior low PVC paint. CA 2500 is not performing against this issue. Any other options you would suggest?
So see, watermark is a problem. How does it come basically? Uh, let's understand. So if you have a paint which is too hydrophobic, when the rain falls on the surface, uh, the water will not be, the droplets will not be repelled completely. Eventually, it will trickle down, right? So if it trickle downs the surface in the form of streaks, that will eventually be reflected over a period of time, because none of the hydrophobic substance that we use is permanently hydrophobic. It doesn't remain like that. So although I shared Dowsil 87 as one of the choice that we have recommended for making the surface hydrophobic, but you can't put it too much. You are talking of 2 to 5%, but that's something, okay, that's something that you can do. But will it remain permanently hydrophobic? Perhaps not. So these streak marks you need to minimize by making right choice of surfactant. You should not put too much of surfactant, and you should not put surfactant that is really very hydrophobic. Make a choice of dispersant which eventually will lead to some amount of hydrophobicity. So CA2500 may not be the full answer. I can understand, but it's again in lab you have to do the work. We it's not a magic. So I have tried to explain the chemistry, what happens, and you need to make those modifications in the lab to achieve the best sweet spot.
Okay, sir.
Many times people talk of making the surface hydrophilic, so that if it is hydrophilic, so it will get wetted uniformly, so no streaks. But then you have other problems, right? Algae growth, etc. So,
True.
so that's where it boils down.
So can you also throw some light on more on multifunctional additives?
Yeah, actually, multifunctional additives is what we had, earlier suggested, where we had a thickener come dispersant. There are many companies now coming up with, thickener come emulsion, right? So we talked of this multifunctionality in terms of promoting additives. To some extent, CA2500 does the same job because it is going beyond just making sure it disperses, but it also adds to making sure the film is relatively hydrophobic, but not too much hydrophobic, right? Those marks that you saw, the silver streak marks or the silver rings, are coming from the surfactant choice that you added. And if you use a hydrophilic, too much of hydrophilic materials in your formulation, surfactants you cannot avoid, right? The non-ionic surfactants. So if your dispersant is also hydrophilic, those rings are bound to come. So making a right choice of the materials, there are some inorganics which are eventually, sort of resistant to this kind of problem. So choosing a formulation, I've given you the means. How to achieve is a little bit of a trick of a chemist, making choice
Understood.
of
Final
right
fine tuning.
combination of materials. Yeah.
So one last question is, any dispersing agent you would recommend for reactive pigments?
For reactive pigments like zinc oxide, so that's what causes instability in paints. Apart from that, if there are some reactive pigments, especially I'm talking of water-based paints, then so for zinc oxide, let me take the example of zinc oxide. In my career, I have found using hydrophilic dispersant has helped. Especially, we had this sorry, not hydrophilic, hydrophobic. So Oratan 731A, CA2500 is super hydrophobic. It's slightly taking the hydrophobicity to the next level, but 731A, then Oratan 165A, these are the ones, and higher levels of dispersant. So if you were to use say 0.5 or 0.6%, and you are thinking of putting a zinc oxide in your paint for some other advantages, which is a reactive pigment, you should use slightly higher amounts of dispersant, say 1% or maybe 60-70% of what you are already adding. So that could perhaps take care of your charges. So this reactivity comes from where, shifting the pH and therefore the charges, uh, electrostatic charges, which eventually will lead to some amount of curdling in the latex, and eventually thickening of latex, right? So we want to balance those charges by using higher levels of, so, but reactive pigments in water base, I don't think is a good idea, like zinc oxide, or many of them have tried this, but people with the increase in manufacturing, plant size, they don't want instability in, as a kind of hindrance. So you have to have friendly materials. I hope that answers.
One last question again from my side. I was seeing those panels, on the Morris chart where you were comparing HEC vis-a-vis HEC and your haze thickener combination. So what I want to understand is that how have you balanced both those products? Like, let's say if HEC we're using 0.3 to 0.5% in the recipe. So you applied that panel there. Second panel which you are combining the HEC with the haze thickener. Are you reducing the percentage of HEC? I'm sure you must be in the premix stage, and then combining it with the haze thickener, or are they both on the higher side?
No. You're right. I mean, you have to reduce the HEC content. Otherwise, you'll end up with too much of HEC thickening, which is a conventional thickening, which will eventually hamper the flow and also the deposition. So you have to reduce it and use the right choice of haze. Now, in that particular panel, we have used TT935. Now that tends to give you a higher, viscosity of the high shear type. So you can use DR130, you can use DR1 or whatever. Like it's since everything, all hazes have got associative thickening along with the conventional thickening. What I can say is you should apply the paint on this Morris chart with a roller. You dilute the paint as you are doing it on the wall. You should not apply thick paint. So dilute the paint as you are applying, and then you see what happens. Directly roll it, dip the roller in your paint and apply and see. So the conventional thickening will not let the paint get transferred from the roller onto the Morris chart, right? It will tend to pull it back. That's what the spattering occurs. And what eventually happens is you don't see the deposition. What we want is from the can, it has to go on the wall, not fly anywhere else.
Yeah.
So you have to make the choice such a way that this is a way of testing, that we felt is very important. Like all this instrumental measure doesn't tell us the transfer happens or not when you have a balance of rheology.
Thank you so much, sir. And friends, please, the message is very clear from Mr. Bhagwat. Please work on your labs. And if you are unable to do it, you have Dow's lab to always assist you. And
100%.
I would like to hand over from here to my dear friend, Mr. Jatin Agarwal, who's been a wonderful and really a dynamic host for the last 2 days. Over to you, Jatinji. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks, Rahul.
Thanks a lot, Girishji. It was a beautiful presentation, and I think we all were spellbound the way you explained it in a very simple way. Again, Rohan had thrown maybe 4 or 5 questions at you, and he beautifully answered them. So my congratulations, and here we are just giving you a small token of appreciation from Indian Paint and Coating Association. Thanks a lot for your...
So nice of you. I don't want to forget mentioning Sagarji, who made sure our participation happened. So thanks a lot, Sagarji, to you. Really appreciate the initiative of IPCA to make this happen. It was really a pleasure. And have a good weekend, all of you. And of course,
nice
I'll stay on till the end. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Sure, sir. Have a joyous weekend, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Friends, we have come to the end of 2 days, a marathon run, a first attempt by IPCA to organize a IPCA virtual webinar, knowledge and technology sharing seminar. Of course, we have a lot many people to thank and show our appreciation to. Having a vision for what you want is not enough. Vision without execution is hallucination. We must plan our execute our plan. When we decided to design and plan IPCA virtual webinar, we had a lot of options, and it wasn't the hitherto trademark stubbornness of IPCA, but the vast experience of organizing hundreds of conferences and recent webinars that came in handy. Acting like a host, it wasn't difficult to get a plan ready. That will be challenging for us, but a stretch to know what the delegates want from the webinar. Not because of its complexity, but because it is only recent that COVID had convinced the coating fraternity to attend webinars. We had to make a team, a mix of talent and passion, but above all, a team that had the gems who could take care of digital control and webinars, designing a virtual environment, vision of predicting the expectations of the audience, promotion, sponsorships, and of course, content and its presentation, the IPCA way. The core team included Mr. Sagar Goel, President IPCA, Mr. Rohan Bhasin, Vice President, conveners, past President Mr. Sanjeev Gupta, Maharashtra Chairman Mr. Mahadevan, our central body member and ever enthusiastic Mr. Rajiv Bhai, and myself. We had the indispensable contribution from Mr. Sahil Nagpal from Event Shapers LLP and our daughter, Ms. Sonal Goel. These handful people made the core team that went into the detailing of organizing a flawless experience and a webinar model that can be duplicated and reproduced to organize more of such quality webinars, yet again, the IPCA way. These are challenging times. We all know the state of affairs, the uncertainties, and the helplessness we all face. Personally, for me, the lockdown was one of the most challenging times, full of skepticism and despair, and uneasiness and fear if we at Bansal Trading Company shall be able to stand by our commitments to our partners, customers, and staff. We won't see green color in our balance sheets for some time, but yes, the future green and the present red colors make a beautiful brown color of hope, positivity, and strength. Yes, we had a big change in our lifestyle. A lot of people say that they have learned a lot from this lockdown, lessons for life. I believe if everyone near and dear to us and humanity at large come out safely from this pandemic, this is a compressed spring that will push us much higher, rejuvenated, rested, and ready for more challenges. God bless us all. Last 2 days have been enriching with topics that we all could revisit and refresh. People say we must stick to our core strength and hence our basics. And the 8 presentations give us fresh talk of 9 lives to pass through the turbulence and come out stronger. I have the pleasure of having one of the conveners of this IPCA virtual webinar, Mr. Sanjeev Gupta, with me in my office. And I would like him to summarize the event. And of course, Mr. Protocol, Mr. Mahadevan, shall add his thoughts as well after Sanjeev.
You keep sitting. Keep sitting. I'll sit.
Come.
Hi, everybody. So this was not in the original plan. You be here.
Yeah, please.
Also. And I just happened to barge into Jatin's office. All I would like to say is that it was a fabulous event we had this time. Thanks to all the beautiful team that we have at IPCA. And even though a lot has been said about the talks, I think each of the talks was really very informative. The talks centered around the subjects that we thought about. And I think the speakers were very pointed. They had spoken on very relevant things. The question answer sessions were really fabulous. It was very interactive, especially the management speaker, Mr. Hidayat Muchala, was excellent. And he motivated a lot of us to think about a lot of other things. And, you know, like Jatin said right now, that after the lockdown, the businesses are a lot more uncertain. And so probably we need to rethink a lot of the things we have to do again. All in all, a great work, great team. Thank you, everybody. And we hope to connect with you soon. So over to you, Jatin. Thanks.
So the Magai Ka Joda is back. And now I'll be requesting our dynamic second convener, Mr. Protocol, Mr. Mahadevan, please say a few words. Sahil, if you could connect Mr. Mahadevan. And in his absence, should I continue? And should we continue with the proceedings? Okay, fine. So now I'll be requesting Mr. Sagar, and before that, in fact, I'll be requesting the Honorary General Secretary of IPCA, Mr. Rohit Duggal, to give a vote of thanks.
Should I start? I'm there. वो तो कर दिया स्क्रीन पे. Should I start? Dear members and delegates, on behalf of IPCA, I, Rohit Duggal, General Secretary IPCA, would like to thank all delegates who have taken part in this first IPCA virtual KTSS. Friends, last 2 days has been very interesting, informative and knowledgeable. IPCA is always taking the level and content of its seminar and conferences to the next level year on year. And this IPCA virtual KTSS has again marked as IPCA's maiden attempt in taking the seminars to this digital platform and making it a success with 650 registrations, which is a great achievement. I would like to thank the key pillars of IPCA, the Apex body members, the past president, the current core team, and our conveners, Mr. S. Mahadevan and Mr. Sanjeev Gupta. So we would like to give a memento to Mr. S. Mahadevan for his effort against the seminar. Yeah, and the second convener, Mr. Sanjeev Gupta, we would like to present a memento to him as well. Not to be left out, a very special thanks to all our sponsors and keynote speaker, Mr. Ritesh Sharma from TIPCO Engineering, Mr. Amol Mulachkar of Saujanya Colors, Mr. Abhijit Avalaskar of BYK India, Professor Hiten Muchalla of SP Jain Global Management School, Mr. Surinder Gupta of Huback Colors, Dr. Guru Raj Mahir of Raj Specialty Additives, Dr. Umberto Tuan and Dr. Nicolo Martinelli of Sapiechi, and Mr. Girish Bhagwat of Dow Chemical International. I once again thank all the sponsors for showing their support and maintaining trust in IPCA. And my special thanks to our President, Mr. Sagar Goel, our Vice President, Mr. Rohan Basin, Joint Secretary, Mr. Rahul Prabhakar, Finance Secretary, Mr. Nimesh Agarwal, and our Central Committee member, Mr. Rajiv Parekh, and our dynamic host and past President, Mr. Jatin Agarwal, for their unconditional effort and hard work in each and every event of IPCA. Guys, have a great evening and weekend, and stay safe and take necessary precautions during this pandemic. Bye and good night.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Rohitji. I think it was a very well received thank you note. And we are sure that under your leadership and your efforts, we'll be hosting many more of such IPCA virtual KTSS. I'll be requesting our dynamic president, Mr. Sagar Goel, to say a few words. Of course, it was his idea, his birth child, not his birth child, okay, his attempt and his effort to start the IPCA virtual. And I think in this very happy note that we have concluded it to our satisfaction. And of course, I'll be receiving a lot of criticism for maybe small glitches, but those are technology related glitches. But over to you, Sagarji. And
thank you, Jatinji. Thank you very much. I really appreciate our Rajiv Bhai Parekh and Jatin Agarwal ji. They have taken a lot of pain in organizing this event. Though this was initiated by my daughter Sonal, and he said this is a very better way to communicate with the people, because every time you cannot connect in this pandemic situation with the customers, with your team members, with the manufacturers face to face. So this is a very good medium to connect. And we have been showered with love and affection throughout India. So I also very much thankful to our Kerala team, because they are one of the first who, after we have organized these virtual webinars, virtual technical seminars, they have taken the torch and done many events in their region. So friends, I think you all have enjoyed the technical papers presented by the different people throughout the world, from Sapiechi, from Dow, from Huback, and of course, TIPCO has made the way how to make those things in their instruments. So friends, once again, thank you very much. And I hope you will, in future, you will like our events, done by IPCA. I am really very much thankful. And I also thank already Mr. Rohit Dugalji. He is also a very dynamic young leader of our association, always encouraging us to do more events. So I'm very much thankful to Rohitji, Rahul Prabhakar and Nimesh also. And our seniors have always supported us and motivated us, especially Ashokji, Vinodji and Harishji. And they always, tell us to do more and more things to take IPCA to the new heights. So once again, I thank you to you all for participating in this webinar. Thank you very much. Over to Jatinji.
This brings us to the end of the IPCA Virtual Knowledge and Technology Sharing webinar. So nice of you, for all of you to join us and your patient hearing. The last 2 days, we are thankful for record number of people attending the seminar webinar. So see you soon. We'll be keeping you updated. And the recordings of today's programs and yesterday's webinar are there on the YouTube. You can access it after half an hour. So have a nice day, have a joyous weekend, and be safe. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste. Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.